Hey, we are live, and how are you doing? It is Sunday, November 27th, and we'll just give a second for people to show up here on the live. Hello, how are you doing? Excuse me. Good to see you. That's your girl. How's it going? How's everybody doing today? And can everybody hear me all right? Just, I believe you can. I'm just checking. Hey, how's it going? So, I think I'm gonna change the start time of the lives. To we'll see, but I might change it to like 11:30 a.m. But my guides are already saying no, so maybe I need to just figure something else out here. Good morning. How's it going, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Um, so we're going to be doing the same thing we've been doing. So I do have a different thing we'll be doing today a little bit. One of the themes that potentially was going to jump into, what would be highest much for me to start with here? I mean, they want me to hang out for a second just with you guys, and then we'll do, messages for the signs. I did get a just something we'll delve into, which is like what's coming in for you next year, as well as just like what else do you need to hear in general. So that'll be our, I suppose, one of our themes we'll be tackling. So, oh, hello, 275 of you. How's how's it going? So, I believe we will delve into just a. So, here's what I normally do: collective reading for everybody, and then we do fire signs, sun, moon, and rising, earth signs, air signs, water signs. Then we do a full channel mode message and just see what comes through for everybody. So, that's my plan for the live, and then maybe we'll do some Reiki and energy work infused guitar as well. So I hope you had a blissful Thanksgiving too. I hope everyone. Hey Marina, good to see you. So they want me to dive in, so I suppose we'll dive in, unless anything or anyone has anything important they want to say in the chat here. My God, you're like saying like no as I'm saying that, so I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm also going to unmirror it because I prefer that personally. Hey, there we go. Okay. Okay. So I know these do not stick to the wall anymore, so it's fine. Hey, I appreciate you too. So this is just more collective, just what's coming through for all of you. So I have channel messages. I channel ahead of time, and my spirit guides, the angels and source, will bring through any additional information that's for your highest good. And if they want me to pull cards, I will also pull cards in addition to that and just see what's coming through for everybody. So let's see here. I want to see if they want me to just, what theme they want me to start with here for the collective messages. So they did just kind of give me some outlines of like what's coming in next year for everyone. And these will maybe be more just like basic energies more than it'll be like a specific thing, for every single person tuning in, but it might be. The first thing that was kind of coming in as far as they're kind of indicating they want me to start somewhere else. So give me 1 second on like what would be the highest message for me to start with here. So one message for just everyone is if there has been, and maybe not every single one of you will resonate with this, but if there has been like a lethargy or just like you feel like there's been like a slow start for you of late, one thing that is kind of coming in is lethargy is leaving next year is what I was getting for the collective. So you're going to be feeling more on your feet soon. This could also be general for right now. They're clarifying for some of you as well, where it's just like you're going to start feeling that maybe sooner than next year. The visual they showed me with that message was a cow, funny enough, like a moo cow. I'm not calling any of you cows at all. I know a lot of you are very cool people, but that's just what they showed me with this cow mooing, and then they gave me lethargy is leaving. So you're gonna be feeling more on your feet soon, especially like next year. And the other thing they were talking about with this lethargy is like, there's a lot of transformation that's been happening, so you might feel a bit lethargic while things are shifting in you or energies are shifting. So I'm gonna move to the next message. They showed me a snake, and for next year, one of the things that's coming in for the collective, at this collective at least, it was kind of this message of just like things that bite are leaving, or things that sting when you think about them, or like even like things that hold you back, like venomous things. Like it could be people, it could even be memories, or just things you've been stuck on in life. I feel like a lot of this year for some people has been getting rid of snakes, and maybe even unbeknownst to some of you is like a weird phrase I'm hearing, interestingly enough. Let me see how they want to delve further into this message. Fully that's good here. What I'm getting is like, I think we've just had a lot of things come up to like bite us in the years past, and it's just time to get rid of those things. So it reminds me of St. Patrick. I don't like this analogy or this example, but banishing the snakes from Ireland or whatever. So we're gonna move to the next, unless they want to get deeper into this here. For some reason, another message is like, maybe some of you or a lot of you have been just contending with certain negative energies around you. And I feel like that's leaving, which is good. The next thing that they were talking about for the next year, or just in general, was they were showing this bull, but there was like a spirit guide on it with like a carrot and a stick. And I heard a different reader give this analogy before, and that might be what my guides are pulling from when they give this message here. But they were just kind of saying like, the universe is going to be speeding things up for you, and this different than the message they brought through, and like getting you to move really quickly in a positive way. And they kind of, how like with animals like mules or whatever, there's like a carrot and a stick. I feel like there's no stick. I feel like it's only carrots, and it's like you're being led forward by that metaphorical carrot that the universe is dangling in front of you. I feel like you still get the carrot. I don't think it's just like a tease or anything like that. But the real message was, things are going to be speeding up for you next year. You're going to be moving forward in a really quick, like positive way, which will be for the most part. Or things will speed up for you or around you. There were like some more general messages of just like what was coming in next year. There was this message of just like more peace and an upgrade to your well-being. One good message is, give me 1 second to sit with this. The energetics are shifting, so peace is easier to be in, regardless of what's going around you in the world. And I'm not saying like everything's going to be chaotic and you're going to be in peace. It's like things could be peaceful and you're in peace. But for whatever reason, the message I'm getting is like the energetics are shifting, so peace is easier to be in, which is good. Next message here, they show me a flounder, and this was a really interesting message with flounder, because flounder are the fish with like two eyes on the same side of its head, and it just kind of like swims along the bottom of the body of water it swims in, and typically salt water, I believe. Interestingly enough, they showed this flounder like evolving, and the message is like you're going to be evolving to what you're supposed to be, not what people see you as, if that makes any sense. And so this flounder looked a little bit goofy, like it had like, of course, like two eyes on the side of its head. Maybe it looked goofier than normal, but then I'm not calling you goofy, we'll get into that, but it's like evolving, so its eyes are like on each side of its head, and then it evolves into like a shark or some type of like bigger fish or grander fish. And I'm not calling you goofy, I'm not calling you a flounder. It's more like you're evolving out of this image other people have of you that maybe is a bit lesser or is not true to who you are. And I'm hearing you're going to be evolving into something much bigger than you think you can be. And next year either kickstarts that, or you kickstart it next year. I don't know if the year itself kickstarts it. I don't know. We'll get into that conversation at a later time. But I'm just hearing next year is going to be the kickstart to this evolution, which is good. And it even could be your self-image or how you see yourself. And maybe you see yourself as the flounder clown, and no one likes you or something weird like that. But you're evolving out of that and standing in your power more and in the truth of you, which is much more beautiful than you realize, is a message I'm getting. And next year gets you out of flounder mode, I guess, if that makes sense. And I don't mean to denigrate flounders themselves. They are exactly how they're supposed to be in the world, but I guess you're not meant to be a flounder. Next message here, octopus showed up. Octopus has been, my guides have been on a roll with octopus this week for whatever reason, but didn't like that I said that for some reason, so I'm sorry, universe. But the next message was things are going to be less sticky, so energetics are going to be different, where things don't like stick to you as much as they might have in previous years. Like, for example, like wounds that stick around, or like heartbreak that sticks around. And sometimes we're taught to like make these wounds stick around because we're taught that if we don't, it means that like it didn't mean anything. Like, oh, our love wasn't real if I don't hurt for 10 years, or I didn't love this person who died if I don't mourn the rest of my life, or something like that. I know I'm kind of exaggerating the examples a little bit, but it's like there are other ways to go about things that are healthier and different perspectives. And for whatever reason, the energetics are shifting, so things are less sticky like that, or even like people's words, or even like projections or like judgments. Sometimes we can feel the energy of that and it's not comfortable. And there's ways around that and ways to not worry about that or not have that affect you. Not everyone is taught those, but I feel like they're just going to be less sticky in general, so you can just be you, which is good. And be moving forward to what they're showing me is your destiny. Interestingly enough, they're kind of playing this visual out when they were showing me like destiny, like this mountain with like this key. It almost looks like a comic book, but like a key, and then it had like that, you know, that action bubble around things. Or if any of you, never mind, I'm coming back to the message they want me to get to here. I want to see if they want to go deeper into that visual they were showing me. One message I'm getting is it's easier to get to your destiny than you realize. I feel like you just have to go directly there and not dilly-dally around and not hem and haw and not be like, oh, he said, she said, and this person said this and that person. Well, I'm getting off track again. Sorry. But if you go directly to what you know is for you or what you think your destiny is, things work out a lot faster for you. And I just feel like it's much more possible to make it happen than you realize. Even if it's like dreams or something like a bit grander, it's just easier to get started and get there, interestingly enough. And I feel like there was a different message they had. So let me sit with this for just a second, because I feel like I moved away from the original thing they were showing me here. Okay, what they're showing me is it's going to be easier to move to your destiny, and there's going to be a key that helps you do that coming in, which will be good, whether it's a realization or someone says something wise, and it just clicks something, or I don't know. I feel like the gears are turning to help you unlock your path if you need that. And, you know, everyone's on their path, but it's like the next level. Next message here, well, speaking of next level, up leveling to you was what I have written down here, channeled down here, especially big time on a personal level. Like there's a lot of upgrades to the mind, to the mental realms, emotional bodies, inner workings of you. So you're in a better spot, especially if you keep up on self-work and presence is something I'm getting over just this next year. For some reason, they're really highlighting the mind and the mental realms. What I'm hearing is that's really one of the things that needs to shift to allow the best us through, or the best you through, is the mental realms, how you perceive the world, how you perceive of yourself, even like just letting go a bit more and letting things be as they are, not trying to control things, not trying to fit things to well, for some of you, maybe not trying to fit things to your stories or your judgments of how things should be. Because as we kind of let go with the mind, our true self can start to shine through. We can start to, I suppose you could say, channel your higher self through more readily, and there's less blockages to magic because you're not trying to constrict things to how things are supposed to be or judging everything mentally, if that makes sense. I don't know why I'm on this kick, but that's what they're bringing through right now as we're talking about this. So something's shifting in the mind, a lot more magic through, which is good, and to, I suppose, up-level you. I want to just sit with any additional messages coming through for you, either just right now or regarding next year. Excuse me. Any messages that would be for that. It's good for me to channel through or bring through for you guys. Excuse me, right now. They're showing me a pig next, and I'm getting like just a collage of images. Interestingly, like there's a pig, there's an oyster, there's a truffle. So what's going on with this pig here? What's going on here? I think sometimes we have to take, well, I don't think, sometimes we have to take indirect routes to like what we desire, or even like what's for us. For some reason, they're showing me this video game, and it's like, in order to get certain items in some video games, you have to like unlock this one thing and then use this thing to get this thing or something like that. And what they're kind of talking about is that maybe has been this year in some ways that we've been living in, is like this indirect pathway we've been taking to, for some reason, I keep wanting to say our destiny or something like that. Each of us, respectively, of course, your destiny. And why are we talking about this here? because we're talking about this pig and unlocking this indirect thing. So give me 1 second to sit with it a second longer, see where they want to go with it. I think some of the good news is it's going to be more direct, like we've been talking about first and foremost, but beyond that, So some of what they're showing me is some of the things that have come in, like, because like a pig isn't, it depends on who you are. I think some people love little pigs in their house, you know, like the little pet pigs or micro pigs or whatever. Unless I'm thinking of micro horses and micro pigs aren't a thing. And then, like some people are into that, but what they're showing me is like things that kind of came in, like maybe even the past couple years, or maybe even just the past couple months for some of you, where you're just like, why is this here? Like, why is this muddy pig in my house? Metaphorically, of course. And it's all going to start to make sense next year, is what they're showing me. It's like, oh, this led to this, and now I'm happy, or something like that. So that's good, I would say, on that message here. I feel like next year is about up leveling. I haven't really sat with like a full channeled messages on the year ahead or anything like that, and maybe I'll do that for like my blog on my website or something, because monthly, okay, they don't want me to delve into that, so, but I'll kind of sit with that on like what are the channel messages for the year ahead soon, and get that up somewhere people can read it. So anything else that would be highest must have come through for you guys in general right now? So we're going back to flounder here, the fish flounder. What's going on here? One message for you guys is like, you don't realize what you can become, because this flounder is in this visual, like he starts to grow like scales, and he starts to grow claws, and he actually becomes like this legendary dragon instead of just a flounder, you know, floundering around in the ocean or whatever, or the flounder farm. And I feel like some of you feel like you're stuck in this like small way, or is this like small being, or there should be like Gollum in Lord of the Rings. Maybe some of you feel like Gollum. You're just, I don't think this is true. I don't think this is you, but you feel like you're like this ugly creature, or like, don't look at me, or something like that. Or maybe even on the inside, maybe you feel like that if people were to see the true you or something, which is not true first and foremost. I think in a lot of ways, we're all, at least for this crowd, we're all beautiful beings who, well, you're all beautiful beings who might have some human stuff to uncover, or some digging to do to unlock all the beauty that is you. Because that's more the real you, as like who and what you truly are, not the, I want to say energetic patterning, the human patterning, the societal conditioning that you're kind of, it's kind of foisted upon you. Like, that's not the real you. The stories you have aren't the real you. But all that aside, I feel like you don't realize how amazing you can become, most of you, and you think you're kind of stuck. But I feel like this next couple of years, that feels like you, these next couple of years are going to be you becoming unstuck, is the message I'm getting for you. So that felt a little bit brief to me. Anything else before we move on here? They want me to move on to the fire signs. The last thing they're showing me for the collective, Cricket is showing up. Our friend Cricket's showing up again. This Cricket has like a staff. He's like an old, what's the best way to say this? He's like drawing a sigil on like a door. I don't know what's going on here. Give me a second we'll let this play out. And why are you drawing a sigil on the door? So in this visual, in this message, this Cricket is tired of his old life. And he's been like, I don't know, I'm not saying this is you, but he's been casting these spells to like end his old life. And like doing everything he can to end it. However, what's next here? I don't think he realizes he just has to walk away. I think he feels stuck, but it's like, if you look at the chain that's around, because he's kind of like chained, I guess. But if he looks at the chain, it's like broken. Like he's free to roam about and be a cricket somewhere else. He's not stuck where he is. And one of the big realizations of 2023 for potentially a lot of you is realizing, again, like we just said, how not stuck you are. Like you don't have to, can I get the full message again, please? like you don't have to keep going through things that have to do with the old life like over and over and over and over again. Like you can just move on is something they're showing me. I feel like next year is when you realize that. So weird message, but I don't know what's up with the crickets and the sigils, but that's what they showed me, so I'm just gonna roll with that. So we're going to move on to the fire signs. I hope that resonated and made sense to you guys, regardless of the interestingness of the visuals they're showing me. Yes, definitely. Perfect. So I'm going to get the fire sign, and I'm going to take a quick second to drink water. Thanks, Rock and Robin. Good to see ya. Shout out to the moderators. If I said 2024, then pardon me. I probably meant 2023. So I'm gonna have I'll skip the copy. So, one second. If you have a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising, it's for you when you see it. Yeah, shout out to Rock and Robin, any other moderators who are here I haven't seen yet. I appreciate your work and your assistance. So fire sign, sun, moon, and rising. We're going to start with what is coming in next year. What do you need to hear? And I might do like a more in-depth, like a reading for like all the signs where I go into like each sun sign, you know, or something. We'll see what I end up doing. But for now, we're doing this live with that. And of course, what else do you need to hear is something else. So the good news, the first thing they were showing me for the fire signs was, I know there's a lot of world stuff where this might be a worrisome topic, but they were showing me like a promotion or something, or more money for most of you, or like just feeling much more stable, some type of upshift to finances for the fire signs. And I feel like it was like for good, or for like a good amount of time. I feel like more people are worried about money than they need to be, and understandable based on the news and what's going on. For you guys, this group I'm reading for right now, I feel like you're going to be okay, is what I'm obviously with this message, but that's just what I want to say right now as well. I feel like the other thing you don't expect is that things can get good for you. This wasn't the collective, but it's coming through for the fire signs as well. Like, I think some of you felt stuck. It could even be in old patterns, or like emotional loops or something like that, or like stories. But I feel like that water of it's representing emotional stuckness, and it's like up to your chest almost in this visual I'm getting. It's like rescinding. Like, I feel like by next year it's like down to your ankles, or it's like around your feet, and you realize you can walk out of it, like I've been talking about with the collective reading. And the reason some of that might come through, by the way, for anyone live with me, is if I post this on, which I will, unless barring any technical difficulties with TikTok and downloading this live and reposting it. Sometimes people probably don't watch the collective reading. They just skip to their sun sign or their whatever they want to watch. So that might be why it comes through twice, or it's just an important message that needs to be reiterated for people who are watching. But was the message, kind of getting free of that emotional stuckness as well. It could even be about past trauma, or things that have, like, if you've ever felt like just pinned to the ground in your life by like emotions, or it's like you can't move and you're like, you're stuck in it, like that's leaving. The next thing that kind of came through for you was some type of truce, especially with a person, like where something is just not at peace, some type of truce. And it could be like with the universe, but I feel like it's more with someone, is the way they're clarifying it. Again, especially where you've been not at peace, where things just aren't flowing. It just kind of feels like you're butting heads, or it just feels very like rigid. It feels like there's a lot of friction. They're showing me friction. What's the best analogy for me to use here? Anywhere it feels like there's like spikes grinding on spikes instead of like the rubber hitting the road really smoothly or something like that. I feel like there's some type of meeting in the minds or middle ground that's found. There's going to be more of a truce if you feel like that describes you or something you're going through. And it could be internal. It could be with yourself or with the universe. If you're like, why God, why did this happen? Maybe you come to an understanding or some peace around that. I don't feel like that was the message though, now that I've said that, because they were instantly like, no, and my body pendulum went no. So I'm like, never mind, sorry. It was what I first said, interestingly enough. In my visuals, this like half moon or like this quarter moon just showed up. interestingly enough. So I feel like I need to say this quickly so I don't freak you out. I feel like this whole year for the fire signs is going to be like an eclipse, but in a good way. And I know with like eclipses, sometimes it's like heavy, it's really intense, it's shaking a lot out. Sometimes it's really good. I think it depends on who you are, where you're at, and what the signs are, what needs to happen for you. But what does that mean? Why is that the case? One thing is like eclipses are kind of a time of elevation where things can happen really quickly. And I feel like in this instance, it's more of a good thing, or it is a good thing where things could happen for the positive really quickly. Because you've done the work where things can transform readily for you. And now you're going to start to see the fruits of that by things either like old structures toppling, because they're showing this like this tower made of like, building blocks that kids play with, just like toppling over. Like you pushing it over, and there's like other ones, and it's setting you free. I don't know why we're on this like freedom kick and being set free kick with these messages. But yeah, I just feel like a lot of positive changes can happen really quickly, which is good. The next thing that came through, and this one was a little bit ambiguous to me, because I was getting this visual. Let me see if they want to re-explain it or give me something else fully if that's good here. Like they're showing me honey, but they're also showing me like there were all these like feathers around, and there's like this buzzing sound, and they showed me the word buzz. I feel like you're gonna have a bit more of a buzz about you. Maybe you'll have, some of you might have people like fawning over you is something I'm getting, interestingly enough. I feel like that doesn't come through. Like I don't focus on that a lot. Well, it's not really me. It's just what comes through. I don't feel like that's focused a lot on these readings or things like that. And my intention is like, what would be the highest and best to come through for you? What would be most helpful for you? And, fully accurate. But beyond that, with people fawning over you, or it could be people giving you a lot of attention, you might be getting a buzz over something you're building. I feel like it's going to lead to, well, honey is kind of symbolizing sweetness in this reading. Like it's going to lead to sweetness or some type of reward. So I feel like getting attention in a positive way is actually a good idea, whether it's on social media or with the people around you, and maybe stepping into your power and the spotlight, which maybe it'll be easy for the Leos who are tuning in, but we'll see. I don't know. I think sometimes the signs are an interesting thing, and not everyone is a stereotypical anything, but I think people get into trouble when they're like, oh, you're a Leo and you're like this bad thing, or sorry, I don't mean to say that in a condescending way, but I what I've seen is I think people can get into trouble when they're just like, oh, I'm this sign, that means I'm this crappy way, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm like, that's not true. Like, you can absolutely evolve. You're not limited by your astrology, and you're not limited by what people, if they're saying something intuitive and channel and fully accurate, like, yeah, they might be spot on for you in that moment or how things will go for you, but you don't have to read, Cosmo astrology and think you're stuck like that. Next message here is sorry, don't know why I went on that tangent. So anything else with the honey and the feathers and the buzz here? I feel like you're used to things being hard for you with the feathers and what that's representing, but I feel like things are going to be a bit softer or maybe a bit more easier or joyful. I think like things that used to be like an obsidian or tough pillar or obstacle or stone like pillar, it's going to be more like fluff. It'll be easier to kind of move aside or move around. I feel like what you're not used to is being more healed, and some of you are getting there, which is really cool, and that's why some of this hardness is leaving. I feel like it could be like a hard, this is not like a euphemism. It's more of like an energy you're encountering, or like things being difficult for you, or just like maybe even brutal in some ways. I just feel like it's, for some of you, you've done the healing where things are just a bit easier to navigate, or certain things within you that have been harder are crumbling finally. Kind of like a knot, like in your energy fields or something. Next thing here, there's more with that, so I'm so sorry. What else? The next thing they're showing me is like this vulture. What they actually show me was, I know it's weird, but sometimes they'll just show me whatever they want to show me for the readings, I guess. But they showed me this Pokemon who is like a vulture, I suppose. And I think the word buzz is in its name, and that's why they're showing it to me. But with vulture here, Vulture can be about, if I'm not mistaken, conserving energy because it's just kind of like coasting in the sky. I've seen vulture symbolism read that way, and that's something they're showing me right now. But as far as what the direct message for you is regarding the vulture, if only for that is good here. What would help you the most with this? I don't feel like you're going to be coasting, but I feel like next year might feel easier like you're coasting, even if you're not, as one of the messages they're talking about. I would also just not overwork yourself if you can help it. I feel like that's kind of a bad idea for the fire sign, so I'd be conscious of that, I suppose, and make sure you're getting enough rest to balance how much energy you're putting into something is something I'm getting there. And they want to clarify the feathers message again. With the feathers, I think things are going to be softer than you realize, whether it's landings with like changes you're making or changes that are happening. It's just like things feel like more like feathers hitting you than rocks hitting you is what they're talking about. In a lot of ways. Next message here, like emotionally, physically, etc. So Elephant showed up next, our good friend Elephant, and what they were talking about with this one was like next year, a trajectory shift halfway through the year. So something's going to be shifting big time for you guys, but I feel like it's warranted and you're happy about it. It could be a job transition, could be a move. It could be as simple as like it could be a mindset shift, but I feel like there's more to the story. I don't feel like it's a small thing necessarily, but it doesn't mean you're like giving up on your path in life and becoming like a hermit in the mountains or something like that. The examples I were hearing were like job, potentially a move, things like that. So some type of shift is coming halfway through next year is what I'd say with your trajectory. Not usually what elephant symbolism stands for, but that's what I was getting. Next message is money. They wanted to get more in depth with the money, I guess, because we already talked about it, but new offers in money, but you have to be smart about it is kind of what they were talking about. So like don't go like willy-nilly with it, but it's like if you get a new offer regarding money, it's like, do you want this responsibility? And I feel like you will be fine regarding this, like especially if you sit with it beforehand or before making a move. It's just like you might have multiple offers and you kind of have to sit with it or consider regarding money, or you might have to sit with like, what's my path and what do I desire as my path regarding this or regarding this opportunity or my money situation or something. Let me see what the exact message here. And they're like, that's kind of the message. Let's move on. So, okay. The next thing I was getting for you guys next year, fire signs, sun, moon, rising, drastic changes. So they were showing like you guys and like there's this like wall of fire or this environment of fire. It wasn't bad. It was, in some ways, maybe it was your element, like you were in fire. And then you would like step out of this fire and there's like this gap of like normal weather, I guess. And then you move into this like ice terrain. Like the whole thing was like ice and it was cold and then there's like a snowman, it's wintry. And you move out of that and then it's spring and then you move out of that and you're in this like water world or like water elemental land or something. It was weird. And the message was like drastic changes in your landscape or your surroundings, or things are going to be changing a lot for you, like a whole new land. I feel like it's for the better. I feel like you're used to a particular environment or things staying the same. It's almost like things staying the same even if they change, like maybe the energy stays the same, or it's like things change, but it's like, do they really change? I don't know why that's what I'm hearing, but maybe you'll understand what I'm saying. And some of you have gone through a lot of legitimate change, but there's certain like core things you really want to change that haven't unlocked as much or haven't changed as much for some of you, not all of you. I feel like that's okay. They're stopping me and they want me to say something different, so I apologize. I feel like there's going to be a lot of drastic changes next year and the years ahead. I don't feel like you're expecting them either, but I feel like this is about location. I feel like this is also about job. I feel like I've said that twice now. It could be about like the people you're around or just a decision you're making to head in a better direction. But it's kind of like stepping into a completely different territory, like fire world to ice world to spring land to water world, or, so just keep that in mind. Some of it might even be, I don't mean this in a bad way, but against your will. Like it seems like it's happening to you, but I feel like it's, I know there's that phrase, out of the frying pan into the fire. I don't think it's that. I feel like it's the universe pouring you out of the frying pan into like something better. And maybe you just got used to being in the frying pan and it's familiar and it's frying you alive, but you're still like, no, it's normal, but it's not. I don't know. But I just feel like the universe is like, no, it's time to leave this territory. It's time to leave this jar or this pan or whatever you're in. And be free. But I feel like it's just leaving something comfortable, maybe, because you seem a little bit reluctant, but because it's against your will is the way they're saying it. I'd roll with it anyways and just realize it's sending you to better lands and new territory and new experiences. And if life was the same your whole way through, it would probably be kind of boring. So I feel like you're getting a break from the boringness, I guess, or that. I don't feel like I said that perfectly though. So you just know you're getting things switched up for the better. As far as like just a few messages on like what you need to hear, it's not necessarily about next year. I feel like next year is going to be fine. There's not as much to worry about as you think is what I'm getting in like multiple areas. I feel like you also might like sell yourself short in some ways, and you don't need to do that, like in relationships and with money, with your earnings, with who you are. And I feel like this kind of came through in the collective, but it's time to more see the true you and I suppose own your value and work on that. And what do you need to dig into to bring that about, owning your value? I feel like that's going to be, if you literally want an answer, I would say like introspection or like journaling, or why don't I own my value? If you notice that happening, or what stories do I hold that I don't allow what's really for me in, or I think I'm worth crap instead of something good. So something I'm getting there. As far as what you need to hear for like right now, they showed me a blue jay, which is for me symbolizes happiness. They just said there's more happiness ahead. I feel like this is right now, and it could even just be like we're in this holiday season. Maybe that's going to be happy for you, which is good. I would want that for you. And they're giving me the word magic as well, like holiday magic. Maybe these holidays are going to be more magical than you realize. I know some people don't like the holidays. I totally understand. I think we all have different experiences and associations with it. And the energetics can be really interesting just around the world or your location or anywhere, depending on where you're located. But anything else you need to know about this? Our grasshopper has been showing up like every week the past 3 weeks, I think, for these lives. And he's showing up again here for you. For whatever reason, this grasshopper is saying like no sudden movements right now. Take a second. So for the next month or so, I would maybe avoid huge sudden movements unless something's already like under contract or underway. I feel like you need a second to assess things, at least some of you. And is there a different message for others of you? I don't know. This grasshopper is just like in this visual, he's telling me to tell you like not to take a leap right now. That's what he's saying, is don't take a leap right now. So that's interesting. A blue whale is showing up next, and he's kind of talking about this siren song. I know there's whale song, but what's up with this blue whale here? You know how there are some dogs who don't know their own size? It's like, you know, you have a puppy and he grows into like a 150-pound like Mastiff or something, or Leonberger or Newfoundlands. And then like they're like, they think they're a lap dog still, and they'll like see mommy sitting on the floor and they'll kind of start to like park back to like sit down on your lap or something like that. And they're kind of talking about how, you know, blue whales might not always know. This isn't the literal message. I would take this more as a metaphor. But blue whales don't always know their size. And I just feel like this is not a physical thing. I feel like this is either energetic or like regarding your potency. Like you're much bigger than you realize for the fire signs. You have a lot more to you than you realize. And you might look in the mirror and be like, oh, I'm just this weird little thing. But you're actually this like huge, massive, amazing thing that could strike awe in people. And I would try to own that. And if you don't see that, I would ask the universe to show it to you. Be like, okay, universe, please show me if this is true for me. Show me this, and see what shows up. And you'll kind of see what they're talking about. But I feel like it's like energetic. It's like potency wise. It's what you're worthy of. And I feel like this blue whale feels like it's a small fish, but it's a big blue whale that even like predators would shy away from. So I don't know. That's a message for you. I feel like you're like that in the world, and I feel like you just need to own that with confidence. They're showing me a butterfly next, and also like a moth. Sometimes those similar creatures show up at the same time, but they're showing me like the death moth. What is the death moth? It's not a real thing. It's the moth that looks like a skull, or looks like it's made of skulls or whatever. I call it the death moth apparently because that just slipped out of my mouth. But what's the message for you guys here? It's a really interesting message where it's like, you guys get to choose. Do you want to be death, or do you want to be life? What does this mean? It's kind of like a who do you want to be in the world, and how do you want to express your pain or the things you've been through? Do you want to be cold and icy and the death moth, which is kind of cool. The death moth is cool, but I don't think that's what this message is. I don't think the message is cool. Or it's like, do you want to be someone who heals and brings like life and light and more goodness? I don't think anything is wrong with either. I think both have their place for a being in their story, you know, probably more temporarily, hopefully for the death moth one, just in your transformation as you grow through life. But it's kind of like a choice on who you get to be based on your past experiences. And I would realize you have a choice. You're not stuck one way or the other. It's up to you. And so many people say like, oh, you have to be this way because XYZ thing. But I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like you have a choice on like who you want to be in a situation or in general. But I feel like it's regarding past pain. Interestingly enough, they're showing me a caterpillar next. I feel like you're a caterpillar now. Okay, I need to clarify. Right now, they're showing you as a caterpillar about to choose between the two. I know in real life, the caterpillar does not get that choice. He's already pre-programmed into who he's going to turn into. I feel like this message is different. You have a choice. So I would choose wisely, is something I'm getting, interestingly enough. Because you can either be a symbol of death and destruction, or you can be a symbol of life and transformation and positivity. Next message here, showing me a serpent. And for some reason, it's just a quick message to stay away from people who want to see your downfall. If you realize that's going on, even if you want to please them, whoever these people are, if anyone comes to mind for you. I don't remember channeling that part down, even if you want to please them. So that's interesting. But I'd say that I feel like that's really straightforward. If you notice anyone wants your downfall, just don't be around them. Don't give them the time of day, even if it's subtle, or they just start saying really subtle things that are like not cool, or it's, you know, like the joke that's not a joke. Never mind. I'm going down a hole they don't want me to go down. They're showing me this golf ball next, and they're like, I can kind of see the logo and all the dimples. It's kind of scratched up. It's in the grass. There's like a golf club. There was one message that I remember. Okay, where are we going with this golf ball here in the golf club? Just a message, you're not as far away from your target as you think you are, is the message they're showing me with this iteration of golf ball and golf club. Because they're showing this guy like next to in golf, you know, there's the greens with like the hole you're trying to get the ball into. I just feel like you're a lot closer to your green in the hole than it looks maybe to other people. Like maybe other people have this vantage point, you know, that forced perspective thing where like if you have a camera at a certain angle and someone's really close to the camera and someone's really far away and you get it just right, it looks like there's like a giant in a room and like a small person, like a giant and someone who's like what's the best way to say this, they just look really short because of the forced perspective. It's almost like that. Like other people might look more physically. I think if someone's intuitive or channeling, they'll see the real thing. But other people, it might look like you're far away, or maybe even to you, it looks like you're far away. Or they're showing me this really weird message as well, where it's similar to the blue whale one, but different. There's this type of like random thing that can happen I read about, and it's like a mental, it's not like a illness. It's just like a thing that happens where, like, there were a couple I read about in this article. It was like, there's one where it's like you kind of like wake up and it sounds like there was like it's like you're falling asleep and then there's like a gunshot almost. And like you wake up because it just seems like there's a flash and a gunshot. And just like nothing happened. It was just like a thing your brain did. It was like a different one where you walk into the hallway And like the example they gave in this article was like your cat's like giant, and you're like all of a sudden you're like shrunk down, and like the hallway's like huge, and then like it returns to normal, and you're like, oh, that was weird. It's not like you actually shrunk down. It was just like the way your brain was processing it or something. Like it was weird. They're almost showing it like that, where like you're really tiny with this massive golf club, and you're like, oh, I can't do it. I can't get this like golf ball into the hole on this swing because like this golf club is like 10 times my size. But it's like not true. It's like your normal size, you're just like not seeing it correctly. I think sometimes that's just the stories we tell ourselves. So I feel like I've been on that kick all reading, so maybe you need to look into that. But it's like, it's not true. Like your normal size, you can make the shot no problem. It's just you're overthinking it or something. So keep that in mind too if you're close to a target or trying to get to something in your life. The last thing I have written down for you ahead of time, after all those tangents, they show me fangs, like vampire fangs. And sometimes, like, you know, we are tempted to do things that are not really a part of our character, that are just probably a bit more negative. They're just saying, like, you know, avoid that, do what you know is right. I feel like you'll be fine. Just if you need that reminder. I think sometimes we just find ourselves in situations that we feel threatened, even if we don't need to be, or I don't know why I'm on this like mind playing tricks on us kick right now for you guys, but your mind's playing tricks on you a little bit. You're just tempted to do something you know is not right. Just stay away from doing that is what I'd say. Any other messages for you guys? I feel like I've been on this for a long time, this reading. So Oyster is showing up here for you guys. I feel like we had a pig and truffle message and we didn't get to Oyster because Oyster showed up as well. But Oyster is showing up for you guys, and what's up with Oyster here? So the first thing they're showing me is this oyster on the bottom of the water floor, the ocean floor, whatever oysters are in. And he's kind of dragging himself along as he does. Like I think oysters do. I know clams do that, where they like stick out their little muscle and they just kind of drag themselves along the floor of the water, lake bed floor, ocean floor. And what's the message here? I feel like this oyster has been doing this for so long. He's like dragging himself along that he kind of like forgot what he was doing or what it was doing. It like forgot the target it was going for, or like the aspiration it was trying to accomplish. But again, like the golf message is almost there. He just has to keep going. So even if you're going so hard you don't remember why you're going, just keep going is what I'm getting. I think you're close to some type of accomplishment, or you getting close to realize why you've been doing it the whole time, and then you realize you're close and you're happy or something like that. So that resonates. Hopefully it does. That's something I'm seeing for you as well. I just feel like one of the messages, you're closer to a target or an aspiration than you realize. I'm going to close the reading there because I feel like I've been going on for like 20 some minutes here or longer. So I hope that made sense and resonated and was helpful for the fire signs. We're going to move on to the earth signs, and I'm going to put that up. Well, I'm going to drink water first. I felt like my collective messages, the first reading I did, got off to a rocky start personally, but hopefully that smooths over. And I don't know what it is, but you ever get like just the right creamer and just the right coffee, and you get everything just right and it tastes like better than hot chocolate? Because like that's my coffee right now and I'm very happy with that. But all that aside, earth signs, sun, moon, and rising, this is for you when you see it. I thought the collective was good too. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. the confirmation. How's it get any better than this? Okay, so earth signs, sun, moon, and rising, what is coming in? Give me 1 second. What's coming in next year? I need to sit with something for a second. Okay, so what's coming in for you next year and what do you need to hear? We're going to just delve into like what's coming in for you next year that my spirit guides, the true angels of the true highest light, true highest and best infinite source want to bring through. I'm talking too quickly. And you know, yeah, let's just delve into the messages coming through. And the first thing that came through for you is huge upshift to you. Like you'll be headed into a higher you. I feel like it's gifts wise, like it could be spiritual gifts wise, fun wise, who you are wise, shedding the old skin big time this upcoming year, 2023. Is what I'm getting. I feel like you've been shedding this skin for a while. Like even all this year, you've kind of been slowly removing this I don't know why they're showing it as like a basilisk skin. I know maybe this is from like Harry Potter and the second one, the Chamber of Secrets, right? Excuse me, or something. It's like you've been shedding this huge skin and like you pull it and it keeps pulling and it keeps pulling, and then it's like past lifetimes are pulling off. It's like all this stuff is pulling off. And I feel like you're going to be free of it either later this year or next year. But it's like you're almost done, and sometimes you just don't realize you're going through these things. It's like all our personal experiences in our life are correlating, and it's just like maybe we just don't see that bigger picture of like what exactly we're working through. But it's almost done. I just want to say the skin is almost shed, and that's just something that's coming in next year, which is good. Next money. Sorry. I keep saying money instead of message when it's a money message, and I'm looking at the word money. So money rectified was the next message, especially if there have been issues lately. You'll be feeling better about that. I feel like it's early next year. They're saying early next year, which is good. I'm getting a weird message like you don't realize how rich you can be. You don't realize what's possible. So don't give up on the highest possibilities for you. And I'm not like guaranteeing anything. I'm just saying like you don't realize what's possible right now, so I would keep going and ask for the highest possibilities and manifest those instead of what you think you can have, and I think we hear about this a lot. Like there can be a dichotomy between like what's actually possible, which is anything, and what we think we can have based on the stories, things people say around us, and shedding other people's points of view or beliefs or things we bought from others can be a great way to unveil what's actually possible for us. I'm borrowing a little bit from Access Consciousness. That's one thing they talk about, but that's also what I'm kind of seeing and hearing and feel called to say. Next message here, Octopus showed up again, our good friend Octopus. And the thing about next year I'm also getting is it's because one of them, they showed like the multiple arms of Octopus, but the message they gave me was like multiple directions kind of infused together. So either you'll be doing multiple things or you'll be bringing multiple things, projects, etc. together in some way, doing it all as one or better. So Octopus is saying like you don't have to miss out on anything. You can do it all. And maybe there's a correct order to do things in order for you to do it all. But maybe think about how you can infuse the different things you're working on. Think about how you can infuse the different things you're working on into one, or you can get more done by infusing things together is something I'm hearing as advice from Octopus, Spirit Animal, and Source, I suppose. That's just what I'm hearing. Sorry, I have like coffee in my beard. But it's okay, that's the message. Next thing, I feel like you'll have much better things for bringing money in. I feel like you're going to be happy about that. I feel like you'll also perhaps want to be patient on your finances. I think sometimes when these messages come through, we expect it to happen overnight. And sometimes it does. Sometimes it's tomorrow. It's like your boss is like, here's your new job. Here's $500,000 more a year or something. But sometimes it's like it's something you're building over time, or like a legacy, I guess, is the word coming in. I feel like you're going to be for some of you at least, you're going to be building it over time, and you can maybe be a bit patient about finances, but something's switching up where money's easier to come by, or you'll have a better long-term option for making money that's sustainable. I feel like things are switching up so you can have money long-term, not just short-term is another thing I'm hearing about. And if things have been like go stop for you, I feel like that's going to smooth over and it's going to be more consistent and higher and better in like a positive way, which is good. The other thing that came through for you was sometimes, okay, it was a really interesting visual. I don't know if I can even describe the visual because it made perfect sense to me when I was like shown the visual and like the knowing that came with it, but it just didn't, if I tried to explain it, I think I'd need like 2 to 5 minutes and it would be a lot. But the message was sometimes you just have like one thing in your way. And I feel like that one thing is being removed so you can complete the picture of your life and start making things how you really desire to see them. It's just like one belief or one thing in your external circumstances or one tiny thing you need to tweak about your business or something as examples. It's going to be a little bit different for each of you, but the good news is like that one last thing is moving out of the way or busting and breaking apart so you can have what you desire. which is great. There was just a quick side message that like you're a great person if you need to hear that. I feel like you're a gem, or you're going to see you're a gem. Or if you don't feel like that's you and you really don't see it, you're going to be molding yourself into that or shaping that is something I'm getting. But most of you are a gem. Next message here. So with anything else with like what's coming in next year? Because I know these are not super specific right now, but what else would be as much for me to ring through? So next year for you, maybe every year is about this lately, but next year for you is going to be about transformation is something I'm hearing, but I feel like it's finalization. I feel like there's going to be more afterwards. I don't think you're going to be done next year because you have your whole life ahead of you after next year still, but you're going to be finalizing the transformations of the past, and it's almost like you've had a whole lifetime you've lived in this lifetime, some of you. And it's like you're letting go of that and starting the next phase and just feeling more free of that. It's not a literal thing, by the way. It's more either energetic or figurative, but that's something I'm hearing as well. So what else do you need to know here? I also just feel like you're really going to be getting to the bottom of something that's really been bothering you. They're showing like all these ghosts around you, and like you just seem really bothered. And you're really getting to the bottom of like, why are these ghosts here? What's going on here? Why am I feeling this way? What's been going on? And it's just something's finally rectifying, which is good. Are you getting like to the bottom layer of what's been going on? Because it's a weird visual again, but it's like a scuba diver with like a scraping tool, like scraping these different layers of sediment and dirt away. And he kind of finally gets to like the root cause of what's going on in his life, I guess. So anything else on next year? That's it for now. So we'll probably go in depth on some other readings too. I don't feel like this is going to be it for the next year readings, but what else do you need to hear right now? And they're saying there's more now all of a sudden, now that I want to move on. So they're showing me this like mountain, but it looks like a spire. It's very pointy at the top. It almost looks like a church, but it's a mountain. And then there's this like steam engine showing up too. Okay. I need to sit with this for a second. What's going on? Once again, like it has been this whole day of these readings so far, or this past hour or so, the mountain is symbolizing like some type of objective or some type of target or dream or aspiration or something that you're moving towards. And I feel like this thing has been chained from you. I know you can't really chain a dungeon, and this is maybe one day scientists will invent something where you can get the intuitive visuals you're getting and put it on like a screen in front of you, and you all can hang out and watch this with me while I'm getting the messages. But I feel like that I don't know if that'll ever be a thing, but this mountain is like chained away from you in a dungeon. I don't know if you can even imagine that, but it is. And there's a visual. And I feel like it's another thing where you think it's difficult to get to, but it's like, it's not as difficult because it's more like this chain is on like a timer, or it's like waiting for a particular temperature. Cause they're showing this like, like the temperature checkers for meat or like turkey that they stick in the meat in the oven to like check the internal temperature of like a steak or a turkey or whatever is cooking. It's like this lock is on like a timer, but it's more like a temperature gauge. And it's like, it's waiting for you to be ready for like the frequency you're holding for the circumstances in your life based on the temperature. So it's almost like checking the temperature of your life, I guess. And once you're able to consistently hold like a certain frequency or circumstance in your life, it's like this thing unlocks all of a sudden. It's like this thing seems far away, but it's not. It's more like you need to focus on, and like who you are and what you're allowing into your life. But as you're shifting yourself, like a lot of the, I don't know, targets, dreams, aspirations you're going for in your life begin to unlock a bit more easily as you're holding this temperature, metaphorically speaking. But I feel like it's about to unlock is the other message. I feel like you're like really close. I just feel like you're about to give up. I wouldn't give up. It's just like one last thing is going to resolve within you where you can like hold the right mindsets or attitude or whatever it is for this thing to unlock. So that's good. I feel like it's going to unlock if you keep going. So I would also just say don't give up right now. As far as like what else you need to hear right now, upgrade. I feel like you are upgrading. So I would the message was sit tight. You are upgrading. I feel like sometimes it feels like waiting in the waiting room in a doctor's office. If you've ever gone to like the ER or like urgent care and then you're just like sitting in the lobby for like 3 hours with like a nosebleed or something, it's like, you know, it's almost kind of like the elevator music starts playing. You're kind of like, when is this what's going on here? I feel like it's almost done. It's kind of like roasting again. I don't know why we're on this like Thanksgiving turkey roasting analogy here, but it's like roasting a meal. It's like it has to be just right, or you want it, you desire it to be just right. But I feel like the time is almost now where you're like upgraded, but you are upgrading. So just hang tight while that's happening. And that might even have to do with the temperature that the previous message was talking about, or like you're getting the right temperature in your life for things to unlock, or you're getting the right temperature for things to unlock. And it's not a literal physical thing. Next message here, forward motion re-engage. So if you have been like just kind of forced to rest or like on pause, or things have not been moving forward, I feel like you're going to be moving forward again soon, like either soon or next month. I suppose when I'm filming this now, next month is only like a week away, so that could make sense. But that's something I'm getting. It could even be now, but that's something coming in. Next thing they showed me was like this boat, or like it looked like a yacht, like more specifically like a small yacht that like a semi-rich person would own. And it was white, if you must know, and it had like a wooden deck. And someone was like in this yacht, and like this yacht kind of like started moving, and then it like hit this rock and it started to like capsize. I don't feel like that's literally happening. The message actually was, if you feel like your ship is sinking, it is not. Sometimes you are just in port getting things worked on or repaired, but it doesn't mean your ship is sunk. You will be on the water soon. So very similar to the forward motion re-engage message. The last thing they showed me was like a vase, and they just showed you being put on display in front of the world in a good way. I feel like the universe is going to be showing you off in some way. I feel like this is about next year too. It's like maybe now, starting now to next year, or sometime soon and next year, but it's like the universe wants to put you on display, whether it's people in your local area, maybe it's at your job, maybe it's on social media, maybe it's in some way, but it's like the universe is like proud of you in some way and wants to like display that to others as either an example or just to help other people transform. And sometimes we're paraded around by the universe, sometimes just because it's a good example for others, or other people need to see it for some reason, and it like energetically unlocks things within them. And sometimes we don't realize what we're doing just by being us and like showing up and being around other people, like even our energies alone, but the things we say, the way we be. Sometimes the most subtle things just unlock things in other people that you wouldn't imagine. And so don't discount the impact you're having by showing up or being yourself, because it's big, is something I'm getting. Even if it seems local and small, there's a butterfly effect, there's the ripple effect, and transforming even just one person is enough to change the world. Maybe you don't see that yet, but that's just something. And there's a lot of stuff. There's the as above, so below with that. There's all this stuff we could delve into, but that's the message I'm getting there. They want me to end the earth signs. For some reason, earth signs, UFOs seem to always show up in my intuitive visuals for you. And I think some of the readings I don't mention it, some of the readings I do, but as I'm closing this out, there's a cactus, there's a UFO, there's, okay. I'm getting like these random collages of images are getting really interesting for these messages sometimes. They're not random, random in quotation marks, because there's an alien, there's a UFO, there's like it's in the desert, it's like Arizona, there's cacti, then there's like iron ore or something like that. I feel like that's supposed to symbolize a mountain though, like in Arizona, which I know Arizona mountains look cool, they're more brown. But what's the message for you guys with the UFO and the cacti and stuff here? I feel like if things get weird in some way, just roll with it. They're supposed to. I feel like you're weird, but in a good way. And I think you need to own that and trust that people will get it, or they're just not the right type of weird for you. And what is weird really is another question that they're asking. I think sometimes weird is, in a good way, is what's needed. Otherwise, the norm is the social masks are never shaken off by other people, and we just keep living in the 50s or whatever. And I don't know. I don't like that. I don't know if I like that energy of the 50s, and it's not the best. I don't know why I don't think people do idealize it, but stay weird, I guess. And anything else? Nope, that's it. With the cacti, though, this is a weird message, but I feel like you're more grizzled than you realize, or you're tougher than you look, or tougher than you realize. And I would own that as well, because I think I'm getting a weird message, like people won't look at you people won't mess with you if you look tough. Like even if it's just like an energy you're holding, or you've been through a lot and people are like, yeah, I don't want to mess with that guy or that girl or that person. I feel like you are tough and people are starting to see that, and that might turn heads. And I feel like that's going to work in your favor. And I don't think you need to put on an act and like get 20 billion tattoos and drive, a lifted truck and start talking about Murica or anything. And it's okay if you do, but you know what I'm talking about. I feel like it's more an energy. And Grizzly Bear is showing up next here. I feel like it's about divine protection. I feel like you're just more divinely protected than you realize. And bear spirit animal might be a big one for you next year, by the way, as far as like either a totem or as far as an energy you need. So maybe consider working with bear spirit animal or calling that in, because I feel like that one's helping you a lot, whether it's mama bear energy or it's just divine protection or whatever bears symbolize. And maybe look it up too and see if there's additional things that resonate with you right now. And even like the furriness and staying warm in like the winter is something they're showing me, or like being unaffected by bee stings as you go for the honey is something they're showing me. Like there's a lot bear symbolizes that would be helpful to you. I think one of the messages, like grizzly bears, like kind of just don't give a crap. Like they're the bear. No one messes with the bear. So be the bear, I guess. I'm moving on to the air signs. Those air signs here. So give me 1 second. You're welcome, Rockin' Robin. I'm going to drink some water and coffee here in whatever order. And I don't live in Canada, but I'm repping this like Canada mug today because it's what was available. Not that it would be my last choice anyways. You're welcome, guys. That was great. You're so welcome. Always glad to hear it. Let's get any better than that. Air signs. We are moving straight to right away. They're showing me this. This is for air signs, sun, moon, and rising. Right away, they're showing me this message of like the golf clubs again. I don't know why we're on this Arizona kick all of a sudden, but they're showing me like a golf course in Arizona. I feel like the terrain's really rocky, and okay, what's the best place for me to go to here? I feel like you as well are very close to accomplishing some type of targets or dream or aspiration or accomplishment that you want to. Air sign, sun, moon, and rising, I feel like you just have to keep going. I feel like you do see it though. I feel like you see it on the horizon and you just have to keep going. So that's good. I would just not quit. And even if you feel like you have a bad shot, like towards your targets, like you hit the ball and it goes into the hazard, I'd keep going and trying anyways, because sometimes that's where the greatest shots in history have come from, are the shots from the I'm not even a golf guy, but shots from the bunker or shots like across the water or something like that. It's like where some of the most interesting things in golf, I guess, happen. And I feel like you're just being called to not give up, even if you feel like, yeah, make a stray shot or make a doo-doo or something. A boo-boo, doo-doo, boo-boo, Next message here. I feel like there's more. One of the visuals they kept showing me for these messages when it was, they're redirecting me. So what do I need to get to next here? So they're showing this visual of you, like the air signs, coming down from this mountain. Excuse me, but it's like you're coming down from this mountain enlightened. There's a couple things it reminds me of. It reminds me of like I grew up Catholic. I'm not Christian, but I have all the Bible. I have a lot of the Bible stories in my head, but it reminds me of like Moses coming down from the mountain after he saw God and his like face was shining or whatever, according to people. It also reminds me of, I don't know, those stories of like people who would go up on the mountains and like become enlightened and then come back or something like that. And I feel like you've realized something about your life that's like really important, that's like near and dear to you, or like about you, about your life. And I feel like whatever that is, you need to not forget it. I feel like it has to do with your future. It has to do with who you are. It's important that you keep that close, keep that near and dear to you, and not forget what you've realized, because it's important as something I'm getting. So like write it down, hang it on the wall. It could even be like a quote. It could be really short and simple, but it like changes everything for you. It could even just be a frequency you're unlocking, but that's something they're showing me as well that I'm finding really interesting here. The other thing is like you don't have to stay on the mountain or in seclusion or hermited away from everyone. Like once you've achieved your targets or gained enlightenment, metaphorically or literally or whatever is going on, or what you achieved, what you've wanted to achieve through isolation, you don't need to stay there. It's one, I don't feel like you do like it. Maybe some of you kind of do, but it's kind of time to come down from the mountain and share what you've gained, or talk about the wisdom you've gained, and maybe put yourself out there again into the world. I feel like the world is ready for you, and maybe before it wasn't ready for things you had to say or who you were, and maybe that was a bit disheartening, but I feel like it's ready now. Whether it's the world is in this metaphor, this message is people around you, or like your community or your friends. Like maybe you went through a spiritual awakening and no one was ready to hear it, as an example. I'm hearing and seeing and getting and knowing. One day I'll have the words to describe how this works for me, but next, what do we want to get to next? So let's see. The next thing they're showing me is like blue. They're still on this golf kick, and it's out of the blue is something they're showing me, like this golf ball falling out of the blue. Or they're showing like God, a representation of God playing golf in the clouds, like in heaven, I guess. I know that's probably not how it literally works. It's just a message they're delivering. And I feel like God has a lot of, and God's spirit source, the universe, has a lot of surprises for you over the next year. And I think like some of you have been through some difficult terrain metaphorically in your life, like things have been difficult, and you're kind of getting a lot of presents dropped randomly in your life, but it's almost like golf balls. It's like, because they're showing a golf ball like hitting the green, it's like boof, boof. You know how it just kind of like drops and bounces and kind of rolls a little bit. And it's kind of like randomly all around you. I think like in some ways, like your eye in this visual, your eyes looked closed because you're expecting something bad in your life. Like, and they're showing this as next spring, like spring 2023. I know if you're watching this on YouTube, like the next year could be 2024 for you. So whatever year you're watching this, I guess it's for the next year. And anyone here live, of course, you're watching it 2022, and this is about 2023. But I feel like you're expecting something bad, and spring next year is what they're highlighting for this right now, for whatever reason. But it's like pleasant surprises, or something turns around and like, instead of like, and they're showing these like birds flying over, instead of raining crap, it like lays golden eggs. You got all these golden eggs around you or something. I feel like one thing you don't expect is things being good, which is, I mean, it is what it is, but I think that's a good thing that's coming in. So what else do I need to bring through for you here? So they're back on the random surprises. I kind of got segued a little bit from that. I would expect that. I would expect random surprises, and keep your eye peeled for that. I feel like it's kind of all next year, and they're almost showing it as like a scavenger hunt as well. Like maybe one thing will lead to the next, or like there's a grander purpose to these gifts you're receiving. But one way, shape, or form, that's happening, which is interesting. Next message for what's coming to you next year. For all these visuals, they kept showing me this like coin when they talk about money, and it almost looked like a video game coin, like a Super Mario coin. It's kind of like flashing and multicolored, and someone's like holding it out on their hand. What would be really cool as a side note, and I don't think I'm going to make this, but like as an idea for anyone who wants to do this, like video game tarot would be pretty cool, like 8-bit tarot or something. Because like I'm thinking like Ace of Pentacles could be like, the Super Mario coin with like an 8-bit hand or something. I don't know. Anyways, back to the reading. You as well I'm kind of getting like a coin. I know there's like a lot of financial stuff that a lot of people are worried about right now, but I'm getting coin upgrades. Like I feel like it's going to be really big, or it's like some type of help with your finances you're getting. It could be from someone else, maybe that's helping you out, but I feel like money is looking good for the air signs, or it's at least better than you'd expect, and you're going to be feeling okay, which is good. And they're kind of showing it literally like well, maybe not literally, showing it like video game coins scattered around. Like it's easy to pick up. It's like, I think we'd all be having a lot more fun financially if we just had, money just laying around like it is in video games that you could just run around and pick up. I think that'd be fun. But, I feel like it's not literally going to be like that, but maybe it's just going to be more like that than usual. Like maybe before you'd have to like go through a whole video game metaphorical dungeon and like get all these secret keys and unlock all these chests and defeat this huge boss, and then finally you'd get like $2 or something is like what they're showing me. But it's going to be more readily accessible maybe, which is good. Or you'll just feel better at managing your money, so you won't feel so at a loss at it. And I would be looking into that, by the way. I feel like that's not just for the air signs, that could be for whoever's tuning in that needs to hear that. Just like maybe some money management techniques, or just maybe keeping a closer eye on it. They want me to tell you, and you might already know about this, but it could be a good reminder. Like one thing that a lot of people talk about is like tracking your expenses. And it's like, you don't change anything. You just track what you spend money on just for like a week or a month. And then you look at it. And then like, as you gain that awareness on what's there and what you're doing, then things start to shift, because you're like, oh, I probably didn't need like 3 lattes from Starbucks. I probably could have had like 1 instead. Or so, I know that's a ridiculous example, but you start to see like where you're making these choices and just start to shift it just because you're aware of it. So they're showing me something like that. And maybe some of you want to employ that idea and see what shifts for you. And the 2 areas I've heard that utilize are like time and money to help shift things. So keep that in mind. But I feel like the money one is the one they want to highlight. Next message here. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's move on. Let's just move on. So the next message I had for you and what's coming in next year is like relief, but they were kind of just saying like, the nightmare is over and gone. I feel like this is early next year, like January, February, March, April, like the first third trimester of the year. Well, trimester is more about school, right? But the first like third of the year, I feel like it's like waking up from a nightmare and it's gone. Or maybe this last year has been a nightmare for some of you, and like next year it kind of just goes away, or you're able to move out of it or something like that. I just feel like I'm getting and seeing a lot of dark energy leaving, and I don't know if it's like a bad or terrible thing. I just that's just what I'm seeing. So some type of like relief from something that was like a nightmare to you. Again, a lot of waking up out of old ways is something I'm hearing as well early next year. I feel like there's also a lot of clarity on you early next year, where you realize things about yourself and are able to shift them really quickly. Instead of like staying stuck in old patterns. You're like, oh, why is this always playing out this way? And then they're like, well, the common denominator might be you. And so then you get to look at that and shift that. So it's not all of you, I don't think, but some type of relief, I believe I'm getting is coming for at least most of you, like 99% of you, if not all of you. It's probably going to be all though. Next message here. Well, I guess I kind of just said this, but waking up from your old life and realizing things have transformed. Sometimes you just don't realize how much things have begun to change. So I feel like that's coming like halfway through next year, maybe a bit earlier is what I'm getting, where sometimes things start to shift, but they shift at a snail's pace. And it's, again, I feel like I use this analogy in a different reading, but they're showing it to me again to explain it. It's like when kids grow up, but you're around the kid, it's just like natural. It's like you don't notice all the change that's happened. But if you look at a picture from like a year ago, you're like, oh my God, you grew like 5 inches and you look completely different. You have a chiseled chin now. That's a little weird for a 5-year-old. That's a joke. But it's kind of like that, like change happens and you're like with it. So you don't always see all the change that transpires. And then, you know, you look back and you're like, wait, that was a lot. Or maybe sometimes it starts at its snail's pace, but then when you're not looking at like the snail like picks up and has like these legs and starts like sprinting ahead. And then like when you look, it's like slow again. I don't know. I don't think it's literally like that, but they're showing me that where it just happens and you don't realize it. So that's good. I feel like things are going to be changing a lot. The next thing they showed me was a donkey. The first phrase I heard, which is not the phrase they want me to say, it's kind of like, I feel like things are going to be just looking better for you. Like if you are afraid of looking like a fool, I feel like you're not going to look like a fool to like other people. Or maybe you're afraid of going through something where you look dumb. just something I'm getting is next year you're not going to look dumb. Like you're not going to look like a fool. Is kind of what I'm getting. Like it's kind of a weird message, but maybe it makes sense to you. So like, yeah, we're gonna move on to the next one. They showed me anything else with the donkey actually before we move on. They're just saying you're not a fool. And if you think you're a fool, stop thinking that. I don't mean like fool the tarot card. I mean like the Mr. T fool. He's the one who said like, I pity the fool, right? But I don't know. So I don't, is that, I don't know. That's just something, you know, whatever fool means to you, that's not the good fool. Next message here, tornado is what they showed me. They just showed like a lot of this. It always gets trippy to me when I channel messages down and completely forget about channeling them down when I get into the live and start reading them to you guys. But a lot of the storms are leaving, especially if you've been feeling fatigued. So one of the signs that this reading could be for you is if you've been feeling fatigued lately, or you get to next year and you feel fatigued. I feel like that's like the storms are leaving, like the fatigue storms or whatever is going on. But that's good. I feel like that's all throughout the year. I feel like some of the issues are going to be dropping like flies, and there might still be other things you're going through or other things that come through that are different to work through. But I just feel like, again, the old story is leaving is what I'm hearing, which is a good thing, because then you can craft anew and not feel stuck with the old you and who you were and the story you've been playing out. So you realize you can change things. They're showing me what's next here. They were showing me a floppy fish as I was saying that. And what's up with the floppy fish? One message I'm just hearing is don't be lazy, is what I'm hearing. Like next year, if you have an opportunity, but you might have to work hard with it, like I would still take it, is something I'm hearing. I don't always like the word lazy. I don't think a lot of people really are lazy. I think sometimes there's other things happening, or it can just mean something else. I think it's just kind of a judgment sometimes too. And it's also like lazy compared to what is like a question I have. But maybe that's just a message you need to hear is don't be lazy. Next message here, volcano. They just wanted to say one, doom is not real. A lot of people are selling doom right now because it's almost like hypnotism. It's like it can be what sells, like on the news. It can be what people are drawn to look at because they're like, oh, I want to avoid this doom. Therefore, I'm going to stare at these people talking about this doom because then maybe I can avoid it or something like that. So it's you know, it's weird, but they're showing this like doom message is almost like this hypnotism, and some dude like hunched over this small TV like watching the news and all these stories about doom, but they're like not real. It's almost like fantasy land, but for grown-ups. It's kind of what I'm getting. I don't know how else to I don't think I brought that through in the perfect way, but is kind of the way they were painting it is like it's kind of like a fantasy world. Like it's not the truth, it's just a story that's being sold, and doom is not real, first and foremost. The other thing they showed was like this volcano of like presents, like Santa Claus would give you, like flowing out of this volcano. And in some ways it's scary because you don't want to get hit by these presents on the way down from the sky. You're like, also it's unexpected, and you'd be like, who put those gifts in the volcano and what's in the gift boxes? Like this is, I don't know. They're showing it as like a really weird scenario, but the words I also got were an explosion of goodness. I think one thing you don't expect as well is how good things can be. I think I said this for a different reading here, this live too. And I feel like they're going to be, but I feel like you need to not shy away from the goodness, even if it's weird. I don't know, maybe you get a new girlfriend and they're like really weird, but like super awesome. And you need to like not worry that they're weird is like one way that's showing up as a message. For others, I think you just don't expect goodness. And then like it scares you when it's there because it's like not your usual story. But I know that's a lot of different angles from that message, but that's one of the things coming through. Just don't buy into the hypnotism of like doom and gloom. It's not true, and it doesn't have to be true, and you can create something different. And your life doesn't have to follow the common narrative of what's in the news or what's going on in the world. You can craft something different, regardless of whether world events seem to be affecting you or not. You're not stuck with that. I don't think people realize like they can create the world, they can manifest for the world, they can manifest for themselves. So it's like, what world do you want to see? And I don't believe it's a one of doom for anyone if they really got to their hearts and their souls and asked like, what do I really want? What do I really desire this world to look like and be like and feel like to be in for everybody? I feel like I got off track a little bit, but they were kind of on a rant. Or maybe, I don't know. That's just what was. Anything else I need to say on that? Nope, we're going to move on. So as far as what else is coming in next year, anything else here? I would treasure yourself next year and not buy any reality where you're not a gem. It's not about narcissism. It's more about treasuring yourself and the treasure you are, and not letting anyone degrade that, and not putting yourself in situations where that's degraded or not valued. What else do you need to hear right now? This is kind of a different track of messages. I feel like you are on the right track. Even if those tracks end up changing, it does not mean you are on the wrong track, was the first thing that came through. So I would keep going on the route you're going down, even if it seems weird. I feel like it's going to transform early next year, is something I'm getting as well. So there was a message about a higher calling. They said, do not shirk your higher calling. Even if it's uncomfortable, go the higher road. I think sometimes we're called in like a higher road or a different direction. It seems weird. It seems uncomfortable. It seems like it's not us, but that's more like a story we bought than it really is not us, if that makes sense. So if you're called to something weird but better, I would go that direction to that higher calling and not shirk it. And I think sometimes we have an illusion of safety in a certain direction. It's an oasis, not an oasis. It's a mirage, sorry, but it's not a good mirage. It's like a mirage that's not there. It's like a corporate job that seems really secure, but then they lay off your position like the next day or something. And you're like, you just hired me like last week. And they're like, sorry, which clearly that would just be not the right place for you. Or maybe there's a timing thing where the universe wants you at a certain place and that's how it would get you there. Or that's some type of redirection if that literally happens. But I feel like this is more just an example to let you know about that. Like, I feel like there's a higher calling and you need to take it even if it doesn't seem safe, because I feel like it is safe. And I would use your discernment on that message, of course, and trust your own intuition and wisdom with that message. But that's something that's kind of coming through. And that's about a job. The next message was about a higher place coming, like a higher place of being, a better place for you, which was about a job. Sorry. So I know we've been on this job rant, and I guess that fits because that was the next message. I feel like that just is coming. I feel like that's through the first half of next year, because they're saying like early next year to the middle of next year, but that's something coming in. And then the last thing they showed me for you guys was a turtle. And they said, even if turtles have a home on their back or whatever, even if your home shifts like energetically or with the people or something happens where it shifts, it doesn't mean you can't find home again. You will. Home is different than what people say it is. It can be an energy and how you feel in some ways, instead of just a person or a location. Those things can contribute, but it doesn't mean that's your home. So if things shift around your home, whatever your home is to you, you will get a better outcome than you think, is kind of the message. So I wouldn't freak out about any shifts in your home, whether that's now or sometime in the near future or that's recent. Again, it's going to turn out better than you think. And I don't think this is literally true, but the message they're bringing through is like, turtle is comfortable wherever it is. It always knows home is right there, or is a frequency it can return to. I would say same for you is something I'm getting. And this could be like very meta and etheric, where it's like, yes, source is your home, source is everything. You're always home in a way. I feel like that's not the main message for you guys. I feel like this is more about a physical circumstance or how you're feeling in life is something I'm getting as well. And for some of you, it's about a new home next year coming in that's better suited for you, that you need. I feel like you've kind of upgraded or graduated out of your current home, and they're kind of showing like a snail or a turtle or a hermit crab, those creatures that are like too big. It's like too big for its shell. It needs a new one. And so it needs to kind of like ditch the old shell and get into the home that's of a frequency that matches it in its new size, its bigger size, its refined energy, I suppose you could say. It's a really weird, this is a side message probably just for a few of you, but if you're like in a rough area of town or like just someplace that's dangerous, and what's the best word for me to use here? Like if you're somewhere where there's like gunshots a lot of the time, or just somewhere that's not safe, I would consider moving. Like if it's an area that's just not suited to you, or like the energies are grimy or gritty, or you know what I'm saying. I would consider finding, I don't feel like I'm saying this perfectly, so I really apologize, but if you're in a situation that really doesn't suit you, get out is what I'd say. Especially if it's it's kind of an area that's just more in poverty, that's really not vibing with you. And I'm trying to say this in the best way possible, but hopefully you know what I'm saying. I just, for some reason, I'm getting that. I don't know. That's just a thing. The next thing they're showing me is like these twin engines. You know how in boats you can have like boats that have multiple outboard engines on the back? Why are we on this twin engine thing? What's going on here? I feel like you're getting a power boost in your life soon, like towards a project or in something, or like sources giving you or granting you extra energy for something. And I would use it wisely. For some reason, they're showing someone taking these outboard motors and they're leaving one in the back. They're taking one off the back and putting it on the front. And then all of a sudden, when they push forward on the boat, it's like the engines fight each other and the boat doesn't really go anywhere, or it goes forward really slowly because they put the engines on in a weird way. So I feel like if that's you and things are moving forward really fast, like don't slow it down is one thing I want to say. Like keep going. I feel like you can handle it. It's a weird way to bring that message through, but for others of you, you're getting like a power boost forward in like some type of project, which is good. I'm going to close the reading there. The last thing they're showing me is a snail again. I just don't think you realize how quickly things can change. I don't know why I'm on this like message kick. Not me, but they keep saying like, you don't realize da 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 da, and they're saying that all day today, I guess. But you don't realize how quickly things can change for you after this year, and how much the energetics are going to shift. Like I feel like it's in your favor. I think you just have to pay attention and go where the energies are leading you, where the signs are leading you, where source is leading you, and I feel like things work out beautifully for you, even if it seems haphazard at certain times. I don't know why I'm getting this message, but some things that are haphazard for some people are not haphazard for other people. Some people would think like the visual they were showing me was like a video game character like on like a cliff. And sometimes at least in video games in the early 2000s when I was a kid, there'd be all these different games that would use this thing or this I don't know what to call it, procedure, where the character would have to kind of sidle against a wall and like shimmy across a really thin ledge. And like that seems haphazard, but to a hero in the story, that's like a cakewalk for them. It's just another way to get around, I guess. Like they don't really fall unless, you know, the person with the controller does something stupid and lets go of the A button or whatever that's keeping them against the wall, you know. I wanted to give like a different example of like van life. Like maybe van life seems haphazard to some people, but it's really stable and cool for others. So just trust the way the energies are leading you. I feel like it is stable, and it might look haphazard to others in some ways, but it's not. So we're gonna move to the water signs. Sun, moon, or rising. And thank you. Just joined, and things have been moving in a snail's pace lately. I hear that. I feel like they will pick up soon. I was just hearing they will the second I read Sam I Am's message there. Okay, so we are going to the water sign. Sorry, I was in coffee mode. Okay. So water signs, sun, moon, or rising, we're going into what is coming in for you next year and what else do you need to hear, what would be highest must to come through. Where they want me to start here, I don't know why they're on a golf kick today, but they're showing someone hitting this golf ball, and this golf ball starts like breaking the sound barrier or something. Like, you know, when asteroids enter the atmosphere of Earth and they start to burn up, they start to have like that cool like that fire that like engulfs it or something as it enters the atmosphere. This golf ball is moving so fast that it starts to get like engulfed in fire like that, like it catches fire. For the water signs, I feel like you're ready to be propelled forward or to rocket forward. I feel like it's almost like you're waiting on one little thing. I feel like the universe might launch you when you're least expecting it. Like your phone rings and you're like, oh, I need to get this call from my mom or whatever. And then the universe is like, now, poof, and the catapult like launches you or something like that. Or the rocket starts and you launch into space or something in a good way. So I feel like you're going to get rocketed forward and when you least expect it is one of the messages for you. I feel like that's soon. Is that coming next year, or is that just a message that wanted to come through for you guys? I feel like it's a bit of both because it has to do with next year, but it might happen sooner for some of you or most of you is something I'm hearing, at least some. What else do we want to get to? So what's coming in for you next? Give me 1 second here. What's coming in for you next year? Hope was the first thing that came through. Especially if you felt hopeless recently, something that turns the tides and brings in the best yet for you. It might take time, but it will happen. So one of the things coming in next year is hope for you and a turning of the tides. I feel like it's slowly. I know we just talked about getting rocketed forward, but I feel like these are separate messages. And this one's about something big in your life turning slowly that's either been a nuisance for some time or you've been wanting this change to happen. And it's like the tower is finally coming down to allow space for it really slowly or something like that. And I'm not saying you're gonna have a tower moment. That's just the visual they were showing me is this tower slowly listing and falling over. But it looked like one of the buildings from SpongeBob, if that means anything. Like in the city, there's like weird metal muffler buildings. So I don't know. But that's the first message I'm getting for you. Well, I guess that's the second one, right? That's another message I'm getting for you, is all of that. Next message I have for you here. I feel like you're getting an upgrade to your general well-being and just like you're going to be feeling safe, feeling okay, not bad. They're showing this visual of someone being like washed up on shore. And I need to tell a story to get the full message. It'd be good for me to tell a story to get the full message across. Because it's almost like this person was being like tossed around in the tides of the water. And like they were kind of being held underwater and like the current was carrying them. And then like they get washed gently onto shore. And they're like, oh, and they're kind of like laying there for a second and they spit the water out and they're like, oh, it's over. And you're just feeling okay. The story that they're showing me, or it's reminding me of, is one time I went on, my grandparents took me on vacation. It was really cool. It was to this, it was the British Virgin Isles or whatever. And I haven't been on a trip quite that cool. Well, I've been on some really cool trips, but I feel like that one was really, really exceptional. And there was one area that the person that was, it was like I don't know how to describe it, but the person driving the boats and kind of heading this vacation brought us to this one island in particular. And there was this little like swimming hole in this island. And there was this I don't know what to describe it. It was like this little cave or something. And there's like a rock you could hold onto. I'm sorry, I'm butchering the explanation. It was like a little pool, but I don't know if it was a tidal pool, but it connected to the ocean in this little like, this crack in these like big wall of rocks. And there's one rock you could hold onto and the waves would come from the ocean like in through that crack and like over the rocks and like into the pool. And you could like hold onto the rock while the waves came in and try to like hold on while the waves hit you. And there was one wave in particular that was just like massive. I almost want to say it was like, I don't think it was 12 foot tall, but it came up over, like way over these rocks, this rock wall. And you're hanging onto this rock. And my brother was like, bail. And he like swam away. I must have been like 12, by the way. And there's a this water like hits me. And there was no holding onto that rock. This wave was way too strong. It just took me. And it was kind of a wide pool. I want to say it was like 20 foot wide. And I don't know, it was not super deep, but it was deep enough you couldn't touch as you got close to that rock you were holding on to. And the current from the wave, like I was like pressed against the ground. I was like, I had no control. I was like being swirled in the water. My shoulder like hit a huge rock, which could have been my head. So I'm glad that wasn't my head because I think I would have been out. And I was like stuck underwater for like a while. And I was kind of at the point where I was like, I don't know if I can hold my breath much longer. And like kind of right as I got to that point, I just like the wave kind of like washed me onto the shore. And I was just kind of like laying there like, oh my God. And like my shoulder was hurting. And I was just like, okay, well, I guess it was really funny how like gently I was washed onto shore compared to how violently I was under the water there. And that's kind of what they're showing me is like that being washed onto shore and you're like, okay, I'm okay. I'm feeling safe. Like that's over, I guess. So I know I didn't have to get into that long story, but hopefully that was entertaining, at least as I explained this message. So the message is you're getting an upgrade to your general, give me 1 second here, general well-being, I suppose, and just feeling safer in life, I guess. Even if it's in your body, it doesn't have to be like a reason you felt unsafe beyond like some type of past trauma, perhaps for some of you. The next message is, I know we kind of brought through a similar message for the air signs, but I feel like one of the messages like home is better, like something about your home is going to be better or like upgraded, whether you're moving or something just spices things up in a positive way, or maybe there was a part of the house you didn't realize you could use for something you wanted to do, or that was really cool, like exercise equipment or meditation room or work or something, and you get to do it and you're like, oh, this is perfect. So in some way, home improvement I'm getting. Next message about what's coming in next year is they show me amethyst. It's kind of like a powerful awakening into a higher you, or like a big spiritual opening that's potent for some of you to like a higher plane. It's not literally dying, by the way. It's more just like being open for their true highest and most infinite source for the highest good. It's definitely a positive message, but I think sometimes spiritual awakenings hit us really heavy and hard and like lay us out. I don't feel like this is going to lay you out, but I feel like it's going to be big and powerful. And I don't think you see it coming. And some of you, like, you think like you are awakened, and you are, but it's like a bigger awakening, or it's like the next level and you didn't realize it was there, or it's like, even more of a strong connection to source. If you're connected to source and channel or something, is something I'm getting. So it's also like an intuition awakening where that's just better, is something I'm hearing, and just clearer, even if it's already clear right now. I just feel like you're being opened or having some type of big awakening, and allowing your highest self through is what I'm hearing too. Next thing that they showed me was selenite. It was a message about a major clearing in life next year, especially regarding like negative energies. It was like it's almost like someone's lighting sage incense all year and you're living in it, or you're living in like a selenite igloo or house all year with like salt caves in every room or something. It's just like a lot of energy. It's for the highest good, but there's a lot of energy clearing away. That's for the highest good to be cleared away, by the way. It's not just random energy being cleared away. But I feel like it's all year. It's kind of like a year-long salt bath almost. And I feel like you need it. I feel like it's just going to be happening in some way. I don't know if I think with some of these messages, you just end up doing the things that have to do with them, or they kind of come in for you in some way, but that's just something that's coming in. They also showed, when I was bringing through this message, like an asteroid hitting the ocean and like making a huge wave. I feel like you're going to be doing that in life, in the circumstances around you, like coming in like an asteroid that killed the dinosaurs and like changing everything for people is something I'm getting. And it could just be like in your immediate circumstances, or it could just be who you are, who you're becoming. I don't think you're ending the dinosaurs, metaphorically. I think you're just making big waves, and maybe even clearing a lot for other people. And I don't know why that came in as I was bringing that message through. Maybe it had, I don't know. I was going to say something. They're like, no, so I'm not going to say it. What else would be for that? It's good for me to bring through here. I think you don't realize the impact you can have, is what I want to say with that message. And you're going to, whether with this awakening or with whatever is going on here. Next message here, there is more with selenite, so we're not done yet. They're showing the universe, not literally, but it's almost like showing someone. It's not as gruesome as it sounds, because it reminds me of like someone cooking steaks on a grill, but it's you like being cooked on like a selenite slab. I don't feel like you're actually being cooked or being prepared for consumption or anything weird like that. I feel like that is like the clearing crop process, because it's like the universe has the tongs and it like lays you on the selenite slab and you're like laying there. Then it like flips you over and you're clearing on the front side and things like that. I do feel like you're being prepared for something. I feel like it's like a purpose, or it's a dream even. But it's like, what I'm hearing, the words are like, let's take all these years that things have gone wrong and clear that and prepare you for things going right, and you kind of being more in your destiny, or you being more, that stuff. Next message I have here is next year is about a shift in who you are and a shift in your destiny. I feel like it's going to be a higher destiny, or it's the destiny that was always there for you, but maybe it was like hidden behind a different destiny that you thought was for you. Maybe you get both. It's kind of a weird message, because they're showing this like, I really wish I had a better way of just describing the visuals I get, because they make a lot of sense to me, but I feel like if I tried to say it, it'd be like, But they're showing it as like stars. And there's like a star further along, and it almost looks like a crack in space-time, or like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a star. And there's this destiny in front of it that you like think is for you, and you're kind of going towards, you're taking this like roller coaster or roundabout way to it. And it's like, as you get closer, it's like it opens up and like the actual destiny is like behind it, and it was just hidden in front of this other one. Or maybe they're both a part of your path. You're meant to hit both. You just don't see the other one. But I feel like that's happening. I feel like if you've been unaligned with your destiny or out of alignment with that, you are going to be very aligned with your destiny and what you're here to do next year. And I feel like there's no going back from there, but that's a good thing. And I think sometimes we just don't realize what we're here for until it happens. And then like all the clarity comes in a huge wave and you realize your whole life makes sense and it was all pointing you this direction the whole time. I feel like that's going to be you. And they're like, that's going to be them. So that's cool. And that could be like any time next year, but it could potentially even be later next year, by the way. For some of you, I feel like it's different for each of you. Next message here, for a lot of you or some of you, it's later on in the year, so don't freak out if January 1 hits and you're like, where's my destiny? So next message here, Elephant came up again, our good friends, Elephant, and just a pretty simple message that there's a lot of obstacle removal next year, especially regarding things you don't even realize are obstacles, whether it's people or, the things, stories we have or whatever it is. I think sometimes we don't realize certain obstacles are obstacles. We think like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be there. And maybe it's like, a weird hill blocking your view out your window is like the example they're showing me. But then like one day, like a construction crew comes and like removes the hill and you're like, oh, it's the most beautiful view I've ever seen of like the mountains. Like, why I didn't realize that hill wasn't supposed to be there. I don't know. It's something like that is kind of what they're showing me, but, that's good. So what else? There's more on next year. They're showing me a domino. One, they're showing me someone playing dominoes, which is, but then all of a sudden they're like, wait, I'm not supposed to be playing dominoes. I'm supposed to be knocking these dominoes over, like for a video on YouTube. I don't think that's literally what all of you are going to be doing, by the way. But as far as what the message actually is for you, I do get the domino effect is going to be strong next year. I would really make sure you're heading in the direction you desire to go towards and not a different direction. I feel like take this with wisdom and with discernment and how it resonates, but I wouldn't be playing it safe so much as just heading towards what you desire. I feel like, again, that is the safe route. I know I just said that for, I think it was the air signs, or maybe it was the water signs. I said that for someone, but I feel like that is the safe way for some reason. I don't think you realize it is, some of you. Next message here is, we talked about that. Anything else about next year? I feel like the domino effect is going to be big. You're going to be knocking the dominoes over. So just head towards what you desire. I think it just opens the pathway for you. And sometimes the door is locked until we head that direction. It's like the door looks shut, the door looks locked, but the second we step up to it, it's like it was not locked the whole time. Like someone painted a lock onto it or something. It just pushes right open. Which is interesting, but that's something they're showing me as well. What else is coming up next year? What else do you need to hear? Fully fly is good here. They're showing someone being swarmed by bees, and it's really uncomfortable. Like the bees sting, it's annoying. You're trying to do things and like follow your purpose. You're trying to drive this weird jet ski. I don't know what's up with the boat jet ski thing. But you just keep getting swarmed by bees, and it's like, it's slow moving. It's like kind of stop start. Like you start and then you get swarmed by bees and you stop and you're swatting bees and then you start again. And then as far as what this means, I think something is coming in to scare the bees away, and it's just going to be smoother sailing is what they're saying on that one. If you feel like anything's been a nuisance to you like that. Next message here. I scrolled too far. So what else do you need to hear? I keep wanting to go to that next section, but they're like, no, there's more. And I just don't have it written down ahead of time. So what else is coming in next year for the water signs, sun, moon, or rising here? They're giving me the word love. I do feel like all, if not a lot of the signs have a lot coming in with love next year. I feel like it's more like halfway through the year though, like towards the end of next year. Where love is like a major theme and people are either like looking at their relationships or like looking at the direction they want to go in love. Or there's just like a lot more. Well, I don't know if that's a catch-all for everybody. So what is the main message we're going to with here? For the water signs here, I would just as always, I just make sure you're being discerning with your options and not just going with any old thing that comes your way. But I would like kind of do your homework. I'm not saying stalk people. What I am saying is make sure it's really what you desire. Make sure it's really like checking the boxes and you're not forcing it to fit because you just want love is something I'm getting. If you're single, by the way. Anything else on love for the water signs, sun, moon, or rising? I feel like you have a lot more love coming in for you than you realize. It just might be different than you expect or from different people than you anticipated is something I'm getting. So roll with the love with where it is what I'd say regarding what's coming your way, whether it's admiration or actual love or anything else. So what else do you need to hear right now? They want me to start with this frisbee, because they showed me a frisbee in the universe, like, or God throwing a frisbee, or spirit throwing a frisbee to you. The message I was getting was a lot more fun. You were going to be having a lot more fun. Just keep playing. You were meant for it. Spirit is trying to throw you a metaphorical frisbee and play catch with you in life, but not literally, probably. Spirit just wants you to have fun. I don't know. Maybe some of you will go on a walk and some random dude throws you a frisbee. He's like, let's play. But I think this is more metaphorical, where it's like Spirit's trying to get you to have fun. And they're showing someone like trying to be really serious, like a scholar with like a long white beard at his desk, like trying to be scholarly. I feel like it's like spiritual, like he's trying to be spiritual or philosophical, or metaphysical, if I can get the word out. And Spirit's like, what are you doing? Like, have fun, like go play, enjoy life. Like you're more for here than just studying. And the old man's like, go away, God, I'm trying to study God. Or it's like really silly almost. But I think sometimes we don't realize how serious we get about things, and we don't need to be. And Source sometimes wants us to have fun and have that frequency, because that can attract good things our way, more so than sitting there and like clenching up and be like, I must manifest really well. I must manifest really well. I must manifest really well. Because you're kind of missing life if you're doing that all the time. You're missing the flow and the experience of what's there, the fun you could be having that could be manifesting even better things. So keep that in mind. Giraffe, our good friend, did show up again. They really were kind of highlighting the giraffe's long neck. There was a message for you guys just to not crane your neck to try to see the future and let the future come to you. You're going to be seeing it perfectly clearly, but let that come to you. Like, don't force it. Don't try to force seeing the future. I think sometimes we want to know what's coming. We want to know what's coming. We want to know what's coming. Excuse me. We want to know what's coming. But it's better if you just kind of like let it develop. And sometimes that insight just comes as we're sitting and like doing nothing instead of like trying to like force our view of the future. And God will show you what Spirit, God, Source will show you what God, Spirit, Source wants you to see. You're going to see what's for the highest good for you to see, and you'll see things at the right time. If you knew 10 years out right now, and I do think sometimes we can know, I never want to take away the possibility of knowing for anyone. But I think sometimes, like, if we knew 10 years out, maybe we wouldn't do certain things that are important for us to do right now or in the next couple of years, because we'd be like lost in the, I don't know. That's just something they were bringing through really quickly. I don't think you guys are going to ruin the future or anything, but I feel like that's also maybe part of why this message is coming through right now. So let the future come to you. In some ways you are the future. Your today is the future is something I'm hearing. Like I was kind of going like you're creating it message, which you are in some ways, but your future will come if you live in the present is what I'm getting, and you'll see what you need to see. Don't know why I'm getting that. Next message here. I feel like if some of you are worried about wilting away right now, or you're afraid of that, I do not feel like you are going to wilt away. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if you're waiting for something and you feel like you've been waiting for a while. You feel like you're going to wilt away before you have it, or you feel like something's going on where you're wilting away. I think the nutrients in life you need are coming. The nourishment you need in life is coming, whether this is metaphorical or whatever. I don't feel like you're going to be wilting away, which is good. I feel like you're meant to blossom in this next year. I feel like you've been a bit dormant recently. And like waiting to blossom. I feel like you will, is another angle I'm getting for that message. So similar to the air signs, I'm getting another message of like, heed the higher calling. I feel like a higher calling is going to be smacking you in the face. It could even be now or this year, because this wasn't in the next year messages, but I feel like you can't miss it. So either something is, or will come in soon. That's like a higher calling that's going to be like right in your face, and you're going to either have to take it or it's important that you do, and that's why you're getting this message. To give me the words golden opportunity as well. I'm getting the message that's what you have soon, is some type of golden opportunity, and I would take the opportunities like that come your way. You'll know what they are. It's going to be obvious, and something like that may very well be coming in soon, like in December if you're watching this now. That's what I had ahead of time. There might be more with this frisbee, because they're showing me the frisbee again. And they're showing this back and forth between like Spirit and you. And like Spirit throws you the frisbee and you have it. And Spirit's like, what do you want? As he throws the frisbee. As Spirit throws the frisbee. And you catch it. And like, I guess that's you getting the thing. And then you throw it back. And then Spirit's throwing it again. He's like, okay, what do you desire now? And then like, you sit and like write your intention on the Frisbee, you throw it back. And then like spirit gives it to you and he throws it. What do you want now? I would be continually sitting with what you desire. I know there's so many different things about the law of attraction and the secret, and like people are like, you should sit with what you desire, and other people are like, you shouldn't sit with what you desire, and other people are like, you shouldn't desire anything, and then other people are like, you should only be desiring things. And I don't know, it's a big mess out there, depending on who you're tuning into and listening to. One, I would go with what works for you. Two, I do think there are things that do work better than others, and I I've found things that have worked for me personally better than the mess of the law of attraction. Well, I don't want to call them all a mess. I don't think they're all a mess, but as far as what this message is here, I would be kind of sitting with what you desire, letting it shift and change over time. And as what you desire shows up, just keep casting new desires out. There's no limit on what you can receive. There's no limit on what's for you if you're willing to open up to it and ask for it. And if you need to do the work to get it, do the work to get it. If you don't, then you don't. But there's something about continually sitting with your desires, letting them evolve, letting them change, and continually bringing them in like over the next year. That's important, instead of just like stopping or giving up or being like, spirit, this isn't what I wanted. Yeah. And like throwing it like ice cream back in its face or something. Cause it's like, maybe that was the key that would unlock what you did want if you held on to it for a second, is something I'm getting. So keep that in mind. Keep rewriting your desires over the next year and seeing how things shift and change or what have you. That's it. Originally they were saying no cards for this live because I just started pulling cards again yesterday, but they want one card for the water signs. The world is coming out here. I'm going to try and censor the world card. I feel like this is actually for everyone here though, not just the water signs. And what does this world card I'm just going to channel the message I'm getting with this world card here. The message I'm getting is completion, but they're also showing all the images on this card like shifting around and like switching locations and kind of shifting. One thing you might not realize is as you complete a certain cycle or segments of your life or things are going to shift really quickly for you because this card is like inverting. Everything's shifting around, and it's actually like shifting dimensions are the words I'm getting and the visual I'm getting. So you don't realize how quickly things are going to shift once you complete something, whether that's a cycle, could be a project, could even be a relationship, it could be leaving a job or something. And I feel like December is when if you're watching this now live, it's like December is when this wraps up. If you're watching this in the future, I feel like it's like, it could even just be like next December or something, or the next December coming up, or I feel like it has to do with the month of December. So you're coming to completion in some way and things are going to shift really quickly after it is something I'm getting with this world card. And I feel like you also don't realize how quickly things wrap up soon regarding that. Like you might feel like you're in the middle of the cycle, but it's about to really quickly close out and something new birth. Like the Big Bang is what they're showing me. So almost like a Big Bang it's like the Big Bang of your life, but the next phase of your life. Is there anything more with this card though? Sometimes one of the meanings with the world can be things coming back around. I feel like you're throwing things away that are coming back around because it's time to discard them, because it's like people from the past or lessons you already learned, or the universe is almost like, hey, remember this thing? All right, time to get rid of it, or something like that. And I think I'm getting it's a good thing. The words good thing are literally showing up on this card as I'm looking at it, as I'm getting that message. So it's just going to be time to discard some things in your life and I suppose invite in the new. And that's a lot of what I'm getting with this world card. It's just kind of a cycle shift. You completing something, everything shifting really quickly, and maybe discarding some things from the past that are coming back around. I don't know if you want to call them a test or just an awareness exercise and what's for you or what, but you'll know. So that's it. I guess we're doing a full channel next. Friend. Okay. I feel like there is more for the water signs. I feel like I'm missing something though here. They are showing me a fishing boat next, and looks a little worn down. It's a motorboat and it's a little bit smaller. It's not like a big Deadliest Catch fishing boat from that show, Deadliest Catch, or anything like that. I feel like this boat is just kind of lazing about. There's kind of just this is a weird message, but they're showing me like a junkie on the boat, and he's kind of just like waiting for this fish. He's kind of like has this old radio going. I feel like this guy doesn't realize his life can be a lot better. And he just kind of keeps doing the same thing, going to the same waters, trolling for the same fish. But if he would try something new, like going to new waters or even selling the boats and getting a career, he could clean up his life really fast. And I'm not calling any of you junkies. I don't know why that's showing up or why that word's showing up. It's just a message, like if you feel stuck, if you feel like it's the same thing over and over again and you feel like that's your life, like try something new. Try anything new is what I'd say. Try something slightly different. Try something vastly different. I feel like that's what can start to change things up and break apart the old patterns that are really flimsy. It's just like paper. Like the old patterns, this image is almost appearing to me as like a paper map or image that was poorly printed because there's like the red marks and stuff when a printer's low on ink. And it's just like it really easily like burns or crumbles apart, or it's like birch bark. Birch bark, when you peel it, it's really flimsy. It just peels right off or it just falls apart really easily, depending on how deep you go with the birch bark. So that's something they're showing for me as well. It's just if you're trying something new, I feel like that peels apart really quickly. And I'm not saying that's literally you. It could be a metaphor for something, or maybe that's just for some particular ones of you and not all of you. I'm going to close it there. They want to do a full channel mode message. Those of you who have been following along with the lives, just had deja vu. Ooh, interesting. So, you know, not the end, but usually after the readings, I just go full channel mode. What is that? My spirit guides, the angels and source channel through me directly. I step out of the way, or something like that. And if you have already been here, you know, the past Sundays, you know what's about to happen, or you've seen some of my posts maybe. If you need to know the names of my guides, they call themselves the Angelic Collective of Zorbidal. Sometimes I just simplify it and say I channel my spirit guides, the angels and source, but that's a name they gave me for them after they told me, like, we don't have names up here. And then they're like, well, here's a name if you want one, I guess. It's something like that. So as far as like what a theme is, usually they give me a theme for what this channel is about. They're showing me lemons. It's something about leaving the old behind, and it's something about like the lower half of the body or of you is really something they're talking about, like the legs. So maybe this will be focused on moving forward in some way. And they're showing me the 8 of Cups as well, like the that card, which is usually about walking away from something. And they're showing me the moon as well. Maybe I should just get in the full channel mode instead of going through all these things they're showing me. So I need like 1 second. They want me to drink like a swig of coffee or a gulp. One thing I'm realizing as I watch back some of the things I'm filming is this mic picks up mouth noises really easily. So I'm sorry. Okay. More coffee. Okay. I don't know why you... So, give me just a minute. Put the channel sign on. Oh. And that is really more for me. So, give me 1 second. I'm going to just kind of set some intentions and jump right in. So, and you'll know when I start because usually they'll laugh and then they'll just start talking and it'll sound different. So, give me 1 second. We'll jump into full channel mode and let's see what happens. Fully for that's good here. Okay, they're going to start. So, welcome to this channel. And yes, correct, we will be focusing on the metaphorical lower half of your body, the lower half of the being, your legs, the forward movement, and you being rooted to the earth is often an area that's neglected in the spiritual community, is your root chakra, your connection to the earth. But it's a powerful indicator of how high you can go, is how readily can you ground after the high experiences? How can you stay grounded and bring through those higher etheric frequencies? Because you can, and you are not limited. And there are many stories that you can't be grounded and channel, or you can't be grounded and high vibe, but that is a lie. You can be both, of course. But we are going to be focusing on your roots first and foremost. And what do you need there? And part of this channel will be about getting rooted energetically. There's a channel transmission that comes through with channel messages, such as this one, when we channel through a physical being. And the energetic work will be on your roots and your legs and moving forward. So what do you need for your roots? What do you need for the roots of you? And sometimes you are uprooted and moved about and replanted in another area of fresh soil, metaphorically, as spirit wills it or as your soul wills it, because you need that. You need that transplants of location, the people around you, the energies around you. And this message might be inspiring you to do just that. For what is the dead soil around you you have been planted in, or you have been imbibing that no longer serves your trajectory, who you are as a being at a soul level, and where you need to go? And this collective is up-leveling rapidly. Frequently, yes, but rapidly. And you will find the soil you need to plant yourself in changes over time. In one day, you might need metaphorically mud and something a little bit messier in your life to help you stay rooted, to help you stay focused in the ways you need to. And another, you may need metaphorically desert soil, where maybe things are a bit more barren and you have more space to be and relax because there are no beings around. And perhaps sometimes you even need a winter landscape to help you ground, because that coldness, that sharpness will spark you awake, will help you realize you need more warmth in your life. It could be giving you a gift in that way through the wisdom you gain through a coldness in your life that you experience, such as a tarot card we could use to reference this energy is the Five of Pentacles, which does depict beggars on it, typically in the traditional sense. But coming out of the cold is what we would say with that. So what soil do you need metaphorically around you right now for your forward movement, for your nourishment? Because it is changing. Your life as it is must change. The energies of they have been must change. And they will automatically as the collective shifts, as people continue to pray over the earth for change, for peace, whether it is Buddhist monks praying or Christians praying or spiritualists praying and setting intentions, or access consciousness people setting intentions in the way they do. There's nothing wrong with any of those denominations or philosophies or ways of being or modalities. It's more what works for you, and we encourage you to find that soil that works for you regarding modalities, regarding philosophies or things like that, because there's not a one-size-fits-all right now on earth for that. Different people need different medicine, need different soil for their, a cactus needs different soil than an oak tree. It would be a great disservice to the oak tree to plant it next to the cactus because the cactus thrives in a certain soil. One size does not fit all is what we would say. And do your best not to judge other people for the soil they are planted in. They've been planted in that soil for a reason. And as we've said, things are shifting rapidly. They might need a new soil tomorrow or in some time in their future where you would be less judgmental of it. But for now, they need the soil of junk TV and reality TV shows, for example, for them to slowly awaken out of the drama and the trauma. And many of you who are more awakened would be appalled at sitting and watching reality TV show or junk TV, as we will call it, because you are so evolved that frequency is a little difficult for you to bear. You see through people's patterns, you see the ridiculousness of some of it, and maybe to the people who are in the middle of it, it is not as ridiculous to them. It's just the way they were taught to live. It's the way that they live their life. It's the way their parents showed them to live. They are just being them. And of course, sometimes the reality TV shows are edited to make things seem much more ridiculous than they actually are, which causes a lot of judgment for the people on the show. But it is entertaining for the crowd they are trying to market the show to. So there are a lot of logical reasons junk TV is not good for the human to imbibe sometimes. But maybe that is serving those people in that soil that they have been planted in. Maybe their root chakra needs some of that energy to stimulate some other further growth or awakening out of that energy for themselves as they see some of themselves in that energy of the reality TV show. And sometimes you don't realize the mirror that is working as to help people out of those lower consciousness situations is what we will say for your understanding of the cognitive human mind. And so much of this is energetic. The words matter. But it's the energy you're imbibing through this channel that is going to transform things for you. And you may feel things shifting energetically from your legs down as we, in some ways, work on your root chakra and Earth Star chakra and below. And those are just placeholder words for other things that are going on, by the way. Chakras are a way to understand the energetics of a human being or a being. You do not have to take it as literal, and we do not mean to confuse any of you with that. All this to say, what soil do you need next? What do you need to plant yourself in next? And take a second to go on a journey with us. This will be a brief visualization. See yourself as a tree or a plant, and you are planted in the soil that you are in right now. It can take any shape or form intuitively it needs to represent what you're in right now. It could be a barren landscape. It could be a strange post-Chernobyl wasteland. It could be a winter wonderland. It could be anything. It could be a lush spring garden. It's whatever takes form, takes form. And what is the soil that you need right now and next? And ask for the energy of that. Ask Source, what is that energy of the soil I need next to be metaphorically planted in? And yes, this is similar to some previous exercises we've done, but this is energetically shifting you and giving you a taste of what's next, so you are more willing to walk towards it, yes, but also more willing to see how it could be better for you than what you're currently in or what you've been in before. Because sometimes the old soil is something people get attached to. So ask for the energies of the new soil, the new thing to be planted in, what you need next for your metaphysical or metaphorical nutritious needs, and get that energy. You can ask Source, what would that be like? What does the new soil feel like? And if you are receiving intuitive visuals, how do those visuals shift for you? What does the new soil look like? Is it rainbow and multicolored and magical? Does it turn from a wasteland into something fruitful? Does it turn into a junkyard, but then the junkyard collapses and all of a sudden there's a town with vibrant people and metaphysical shops and everything you desire and the people around you? And call that in. Say, I ask for that. Thank you. And you are going to begin walking towards that in your future, following this channel. You're going to begin calling that in. Because again, the soil you need is changing. The soil the collective needs is changing. And that is why things are changing so rapidly on Earth. One of the reasons. As consciousness gets to a certain point, things evolve so consciousness can expand further. Once it's hit the edge of what it can hit in a certain moment, if that makes sense. Sometimes consciousness needs a bigger container, something that allows it to flow more, something that allows it to rise more on the planet, evolve. And consciousness is everything in a sense. In many ways, the evolution of consciousness is you evolving to consciousness. You evolving to be a conduit of consciousness. You realizing what consciousness is. Consciousness is already everything. Does it really need to evolve? Evolve is a human term. Yes, we use that term frequently for your human mind, for the universe, for things, because it helps you understand the phase of being you are in. It is ever changing, but at the same time, it's all there. Consciousness is all there is in some ways, from a certain perspective. Source is all there is. And you are evolving to see that, to allow that through. And that is the evolution of consciousness. So many would have you believe consciousness is this thing that evolves. Maybe. But it's more you are evolving to consciousness. And that is the rise of consciousness on the planet. So how are you as a being evolving to consciousness? You do not need an answer. These questions are designed to spark something in you, to bring that about. How are you evolving to consciousness as a being? Whether as a conduit or you being it. In many ways, the soil you need planting in is consciousness. That's why we are on this tangent, this conversation. You've been planted in things that don't appear to be consciousness, but they are consciousness, but they need to be more of a pure consciousness, a higher consciousness, if you will, a refined consciousness, because the old patterns are not going to hold up. You see this now. You see this in the governments. You see this on the war on the planet. You see this in how people are saying things need to change, both in yourselves, perhaps, and in the world around you. And that is why the planet is becoming consciousness, because consciousness is where the possibilities are, where the possibilities lie for you. And you are meant for more than just the same old that you've been through. That is why we are, in a sense, replanting you, or causing you to be replanted by your own whim, or spurring you towards it. So what can you walk towards that would bring you to that new soil we've been talking about physically? What can you change today, if anything comes to you? And if not, just sit with it. Sit with the energy. Let things percolate. Let things evolve. Let things become what they need to be. You're on that track. In some ways, the consciousness rising on the planet is inevitable. We are spurring along the inevitable. We are urging you to your destiny. And in different ways for each of you, yes. But becoming that consciousness that you already are, but realizing that, letting that be the purity that you are on this planet to change everything. The old patterns don't support that. That's why they collapse. So who are you ready to be once this replanting, this new soil is imbibed by you, is brought to you, or you are brought to it? Who are you ready to become next? Because that is the evolution of consciousness this planet needs, or the evolution to consciousness, as we've said. It does not have to be big. It can be. It does not have to be any size. But who are you becoming next? And walk to that. Allow that. Receive that. It's coming. Next year and beyond. And for those of you tuning in later down the line in the future, such as on YouTube or on another platform, it's coming soon. This message is simply spurring you energetically to that. So we leave you with that. And check your energies. If you do not think what we said made much sense, to many of you it did, check how you feel. Check how the future feels. You can say, I asked to feel my future. It's different, in a good way. We have raised consciousness with this conversation, never lowered it. We never do. It's not what this is. This is all for the highest good. Check your legs down. How does your root feel? How do your feet feel energetically? How does the bottom half of your aura feel? Because you are now ready for forward movements. You are now ready for receiving what's for you more so than before. If you're watching a filmed version of this, you can return to this whenever you feel you need that upgrade, that upshift, that reminder of consciousness that you are in consciousness on the planet. But you do not need to if you do not feel called to it or do not want to. And with that, we leave you. May you be blessed with the highest and best paths for you. May the highest and best to transpire regarding this message. And we wish you well. May the highest and best occur. Farewell. And one thing I'm hearing is that was about upgrading your path in some ways. But I hope that was helpful. So powerful. Perfect. That's one of the aims. You're so welcome, guys. Thanks, Rockin' Robin. Thanks for holding it down in the chat, by the way. And, you know, if you're feeling any sort of way after that channel, you can just say, like, true highs and positive at source, please clean this up regarding this channel. I don't think you need to, honestly, is also what I'm hearing, but you can just ask true highs and positive at source to wrap it up in whatever ways would be for the highest good. Ooh, legs tingling like crazy. That makes sense. And I think the legs get forgotten sometimes. Not always, but sometimes you feel good. Perfect. That's great. That's a good sign. Okay, I'm getting I need to close the live. I was thinking about, nope, maybe next time I'll do some Reiki infused guitar, but I don't feel like that's what I need to do today. That's not what I'm getting. So they actually want me to close it now. There's 111 people. Hey, 111. Make a wish, I suppose. Victoria just saw it too. You guys are welcome. So thank you. Pure abundance coming in. May it be so. How's it get any better than that? You're welcome, Andy Pandy Pie. So once again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys rock. It's a joy to do this. I hope this all was helpful and did whatever was for the highest good for it to do, and made the highest and best to transpire regarding all of it, as they said, following the channel. And they are really urging me to close it now, so I will. Okay, you guys take care.